What's up, guys? This is PokerCraft with D22 Sosa Wing Chiang on Live at the Bike, and this is Sean Snyder. This is a pre-recorded broadcast.
I'm pretty excited to be back at the bike, to be honest. I had a great time the last time I was here. I'm having a great time so far. So we'll see how it leads, but
So
yeah.
you intended to come up because you're an alt for the $1 Million Cash Game, which
I mean, if I get a seat, I get a seat. But to be honest, there's not much happening down where I am, and it's just I know there's a lot happening up here. I know everyone up here, and
yeah,
it hasn't disappointed so far.
200, 400 limit hold'em outside.
Well, what's that going to do for me?
I don't know.
Well,
Locked out.
sometimes it's a nine-handed game, but when you want a seat, it becomes seven-handed. And I strongly suspect if a player quits and it's six-handed, it'll be a six-max game. But
Yeah, well,
it prevents a fight with your ex-girlfriend, so that's always good, I suppose.
Oh, shout out to Kim.
Maybe she'll come in later, maybe she
I
won't.
love
see.
Kim, because we go way back.
I,
You know what I mean. She knows what I mean.
I have a variety of mixed feelings, but yeah, maybe she'll come in, maybe she won't. It would be nice, but
So, for those who don't know, Kim went to UCSD when me and Maria and Steve Sung, Joseph Chung were all there.
I
And we
didn't
all
know they
came
went
up
there.
together. You didn't know that?
I knew you, Maria, and Kim went there, but I didn't know the rest of you guys.
Yeah, you didn't go to UCSD. So, Anna,
Thank you.
Kim was,
Thank you.
yeah, because we care which UC you went to. Santa Barbara is lower than UC San Diego.
Well,
No,
some
I'm
of us, maybe we would have gotten in. We just didn't apply to San Diego because we wanted
Not
to branch
only-
out.
Not only that, nobody gives a crap, and who knows what the
Of
criteria
course
is.
not.
No, because back in the 90s, UC Riverside, if you had a 3.0, you automatically get in. Now, if you have a 4.0, you don't.
Oh,
you
no,
can't even-
no.
You may not even get in UC
If
Riverside.
I ever have kids, they probably won't even get into high school,
Pretty much.
let alone a UC school.
Okay, well, for the audience that doesn't know you, let's just start from the beginning and then slowly interject all of our commentary. So this is Sean Snyder, high stakes poker pro. You're still in the high stakes scene, so
I mean, I'm in the high stake. I could barely even call myself a pro, to be honest. I win in most of the games I'm playing, but I so rarely play and I put no effort. I'm a
They're getting
recreational
better.
poker player that
happens
wants
to
to
win.
win. Sometimes I play with actual people that are trying to win, and I'm not doing so great. But
So what you're kind of saying
Yeah.
is you and I and several other people used to be higher on the ladder, and now we are.
I mean, every day I used to be in the streets at Commerce, but
Yeah.
but I play bigger sometimes now. But I mean, I guess I'm a professional poker player, but no, really,
we're frauds compared to the people we used to be.
no, people are we don't want pros in the game. I'm maybe I'm the best player in the game, but I'm really not a pro. Let me tell you. I play 1 day, 2 days a month, but anyways, yeah.
Okay, I don't want to throw anyone under the
No,
bus. I was
of
about
course.
to.
No,
I was about to name some people that barely play and crush.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was
Right.
thinking of another. They were gonna be I'm a Bitcoin investor. I'm you're a professional poker player that bought a bunch of fantasy coins, and they went straight to the moon, which is fine. I did the same thing. That's why I'm not a professional
up.
poker player anymore.
All right, well, let's just start with the Sean Snyder story then.
I mean, it's a long story, as you know, but
We got time. This is pre-recorded.
Yeah.
We got
of course,
all the time.
You can do all the beautiful editing, but
The editing that's going to happen is
You
your
know-
hands on Live at the Bike will be pasted after.
oh, good
So
lord, I hope nobody sees that. Anyways,
they played fine.
yeah. Oh, I ran fine. That's for sure.
Right.
But I mean, it's a long story. But long story short, started out online, or didn't start out. I started out watching
No,
Chris
do the Sean
Moneymaker.
Snyder story first,
okay.
and then go into the poker thing.
The Sean Snyder story.
I don't know. Where'd you come? You're from San Diego, right?
I'm from some random middle class family. They thought that I
What's
was
wrong
gonna
with that?
do great things.
And
Long
now you're
story
on.
sh-
And now you're on Live at the Bike PokerCraft.
Yeah.
How much higher can you get?
And
Hey,
that my
DJ
parents
Melody.
are turning over in their graves right now.
DJ Melody was on PokerCraft, and literally in 2 weeks he was on Joe Rogan. So
Could that be me?
yeah, that could be.
Holy fuck! Please.
You're
Joe
still
Rogan.
alive.
No, Joe Rogan, please. Please. No.
Well, maybe if he listened to your story, then he'd be like, "Oh, the Sean Snyder
It's
guy's pretty interesting."
Absolutely. But anyways,
Anyway.
no, just random middle class little white boy.
Sure.
No real hardships. My parents had great schemes for me. I was playing Pokemon, the card game, Magic. I was terrible at Magic. Wayne's fantastic, so
I'm not fantastic compared to the world level. I'm just better than average.
he's like he's better than me by a significant. Anyways, I was like the Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, all kinds of card games kind of guy. I watched Chris Moneymaker win. And I was like, if this fucking guy can win it, anyone can win it. He's like, he was like the everyman, like extremely likable. Like he tried hard, he played hard. And he won the thing. And
People like rip on him, but I think he only played like one hand bad in the post edited. He cold called 3 with like 4 or 5 off. Okay, that one you can't justify.
It's been 15 years since he won the thing, so I couldn't tell you a hand that he won.
I'm just like
I know the one he busted Ivy only because of
right,
being
but that
Ivy,
was just
but
that's just like a normal
very
hand.
boring cooler.
Right,
yeah. But I was like, I play Pokemon cards and Dragon Ball Z cards. I was like, this guy seems like a normal guy, smart guy, but a normal guy.
Yeah.
If he could do it, I mean, I'm a smart kid. Like, why can't I do it? And I was
shout out to UC Santa Barbara, who Jerry Fang actually went out to. You're playing with him outside, Jerry.
Really?
Yeah.
Jerry went there as well. He was probably close to my year then.
Maybe, I don't know. We can go talk about outside. Anyway, go on.
But you rose up the stakes like you did back in the day.
Yeah.
So
we like the people I talk to. It's like you can recognize another player, how they came up. And we came up similarly. We started from the very bottom, which, some people don't or jump.
It's a lot different now than it was back then. That's for
true.
sure, Wayne.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I literally started with a couple $50 buy-ins on the PokerStars. Not even my $50. I split them with another friend, and we were playing like $5 sit and goes maybe. I really don't recall. But
what year was this?
2004, late 2004.
Okay.
We lost our $50 that we split, obviously, but very slowly but surely, like, we didn't know how to play, but we learned how to play kind of tight. And,
right.
Come, like, 2005-ish, 2006-ish, like, I still had my, like, $50 or $100 deposits every now and then, and I would be playing, like, the 25-cent, 50-cent Raz or Stud 8 or better, that kind of thing on Full Tilt Poker.
Okay.
Which, like, nobody else did, but, like, I watched all the broadcasts. I was like, you know what? I want to be Phil Ivey. No, I was like,
sure,
if you're gonna go for it, why not go for the moon?
Right,
and at the time, like Phil Ivey was the moon, and you're like,
right.
People make fun of Raz. To this day, Raz is easily one of my favorite games. Tons of action, tons of hand reading, tons of
I don't know Raz
guessing
that well.
and math, but it's a really fun game.
So I've heard that Raz is the easiest form of poker. Is that true or not true? That's what I've heard. Because I don't know Raz well enough.
Every game has so much to it that it's difficult. Like,
right. That's
to me,
I say that.
The games that I'm bad at, I would consider the easiest, like Omaha 8 or better. And meanwhile, like people who are good at it, they'd be like, that game's incredibly complicated.
But why would you think Omaha 8 are better? I would say it's
because
really
to me it's simple because I don't put any effort into it. I just
so it's like Dunning-Kruger.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
But for me, like other games, I've like taken the next level of an approach and like
put some effort into it.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, any lowball game is inherently like very simple to play like reasonably well.
Sure.
But incredibly difficult to play very, very well.
Right.
And Raz is like, in a way, both the simple and most complicated one.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the cards are face up, of course. It's like a stud game. But at the same time, you need to take into consideration everything you've seen and weigh that against what they may or may not have. And, like, especially in a high stake, the nice thing about high stakes game is you're going to get a real nice big ante. So everyone's going to be a little looser and a little bit lighter. So you need to really think about what they have instead of thinking about whether they have like these two babies in the hole. They're going to have like a little bit of a stinker down there maybe sometimes, and that just makes the game a lot more exciting, I think.
Right. Yeah, because somebody tried to bluff with like rolled up aces.
I actually have a good Raz, a short but good one. I had rolled up sixes playing like 300, 600 in one of the LA casinos, and they all have pictures behind me. Mm-hmm. I do what one does, and I complete. The man in the bring-in with the king, he comes in with me. He catches like a queen.
And he doesn't believe you?
And honest to God, I had 6-7 face up,
and
the man has king queen, and I turn my cards face up. I have rolled up sixes, and I assume he's like open folding, like what any normal person would do. Like I have 6-7, he's showing king queen, and I bet and like turn my cards face up to like as a joke to be like, oh ha ha, I had rolled up. He doesn't see my hand rolled up sixes, and he calls.
Wow.
I catch like an 8, and he catches a 9, and he calls. He has king queen. Anyways, finally he pairs like the queen.
And then he folds.
And I have like 6, 7, 8 deuce or something.
Wow.
And everyone at the table but him has seen my cards
Right.
playing 300, 600. And finally he folds, and like everyone else is cracking up, and he has no idea what everyone thinks is so funny.
Right.
I guess he had like ace deuce or something underneath.
Right. Yeah.
But like that's like the beauty of the game, is that like you get some action, like
Unwarranted. And
yeah, no, it's better than people give it credit for.
so for the people, the audience might be a bit confused because we're just like tangentially hitting stuff. Because the audience is mostly no-win hold'em. Because we agree it is the most watchable form of
Oh, of
poker.
course. I mean, it's the thing that I've played most for the past 6 or 7 years. It's a fun game. You have to do the right things to make it a fun game, in my opinion. But it's a good poker game. You can't complain about it.
So Sean and I go way back. Me before Sean. When I first started playing poker, 7-card stud was actually still a thing.
High
Yeah,
stud.
high. There was high-low, but stud was more like mainstream, I would say. And then limit hold'em came in, and I worked from the bottom up. 3-6 limit hold'em, starting from Barona. No flop, no drop. If you table switch, you can come behind from the blinds for free. I know you're cracking up in the
No,
inside
that's
because
fantastic. Yeah.
this is the effort you have to put in when you're trying to be a professional poker player.
I mean, the funny thing is, Wayne's telling. I honestly didn't even know the rake was a thing that existed when I started playing live poker, like $3, $6, and $4, $8 limit poker.
It was $3 and it became $4, and when it became $4, I'm just like, I'm like supposed to win now,
Yeah.
and now it's like 6 and
7,
1.
8. I don't even know.
It's 6 and 1. $6 for the drop, $1 for jackpot, and of course collection games can go to $12 or the higher stakes 13 or 15 or whatever like that every half an hour. So that counts against you, and people who
It
just
matters a lot more than
try
they
to
think. Yeah.
and because we played online, we would see how much the house took, and we'd be like, the fuck you just take from me?
I remember long before I had become a professional, like an actual winning player, people like Mike Snyder and Mike Schneider,
Schneid's.
BK, Brian. What's Brian's last name? I don't even remember.
Are you talking about the Boston guy?
BK?
The, like
Bicycle
Boston guy.
kick. No, bicycle kick.
Bicycle kick.
Not
Okay,
BK 1248. Anyways,
I know.
bicycle
Shout out
kick
to
and
Bicycle
like
Kick
Schneider.
and Schneid's, yeah.
I remember there was like an uproar on 2+2. The 6 max limit hold'em rake, it had gone from $2 to $3, and nobody could believe it. A 50% increase in the rake, up to $3, playing I guess 30, 60. I really don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
I was praying that I could beat the 25 cent, 50 cents.
Let's just do it chronologically. I'll start off what I did, and then you can interject what you did.
Absolutely.
So pre-Moneymaker, I was playing 7-card stud. My first, I played at Casino San Pablo and the Oaks in Northern California recreationally, and then my first or second trip to Vegas, I'm playing 1-5 spread limit stud at Luxor.
It's a good game.
I crushed it for
Quite
like
the game.
$220.
Nice.
And that time, I was like,
Now,
this
Wayne,
is a lot of money.
I have to ask you now, were you like choosing your wager, or were you just going for the full 5?
Full 5 every single time.
Nice. You were ahead of your times then. Oh, you were. You were.
I would be like, why would anyone bet less than the max? I remember one hand I got so lucky because I think I started with, I had an ace door, and I had like 2 wheel cards underneath, and I caught good. I caught like a queen and like a king.
Yeah.
And then I just
You caught cards that like a normal person would have in their
and then somehow this guy like kept like heroing with 9s, and he was actually a genius because I didn't have anything. But
He knew
somehow
his man. He knew his man in the $1 game.
I rivered the wheel. It's got smooth draw,
No, I
RB
mean,
tones enough, kick the
Wayne,
win the high and the
you
low.
had ace, king, queen. Of course you made the wheel.
And then when he called me and I flipped over my cards, he was like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, I knew I lost, but why did you do
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Why like this?
Yeah,
Why?
exactly. But really, I had so many overcards. I had the ace, the king, the queen, and the wheel draw.
I don't know the first thing about that. You're probably the favorite on every street.
Not favorite, but like, if it was reactive and he was betting, I had the odds to draw.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first one I won $220, and then we had there were like Luxor tournaments, and I came third in the 2 tournaments we played. I'm like, I'm really good.
You're
at
the
this
greatest.
game.
Yeah,
I am
and
the
it's,
greatest of all
it's time. Like it's time to go pro. Yeah.
The cards didn't say it was time to go
Yeah.
pro next, but I did. Every time I went back, we went to Luxor for 3 sessions, and I won what was a lot.
Every time you were playing the 1 to
Yes.
5, the big game.
Yes. So I won in all those. So I was feeling confident.
Of course, as one
Feeling like a
should.
boss.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But
in
then,
all fairness, you probably were the best player in the game, even if you
yes.
had no business ever playing poker again.
Yes, that is definitely true. So when it came to San Diego, I went to UCSD. Okay, as you guys, as the audience may remember me saying in broadcast, I was a professional gamer, professional StarCraft player, did the gaming stuff, and then and then I tried to do the .com stuff in a more elegant sense, like non-gaming, more, you know what
Like a professional person.
Yeah, like programming as a program. I programmed for Alta Vista. So Babelfish, which now we have Google Translate, but back then Babelfish was
I
a real pile
I
of
remember
crap.
I remember me some Babelfish. Let me tell you.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to Alta Vista for actually offering me a job, though. Anyway, had an ex at the time. Went to UCSD. Got dumped. Was like, what do I do? How am I gonna? My parents are nice enough to, willingly pay for college. But then one day my dad bitched at me for buying pizza, and I'm just like, I'm not tolerating this.
He saw like your credit card bill, and
Yeah.
he's like, "There's the Pizza Hut on there."
Yeah, he was like,
That's
"You
so
spent
funny.
$24 on pizza," and just like berating me. I'm just
How
like,
does he feel these days with Grubhub? Every day costs $30, but you
he doesn't know. He
Because
hasn't
you're-
even adapted since then. Because like ever since then, I just was paying for everything
Yeah.
until anyway. So continue your story. Like I was like, I gotta pay for stuff, and I was like applying for internships, and like I drew comics for the UC San Diego paper. I got $9.80 an hour. That's pretty sick.
That's quite a bit. It's
Just to
it's,
draw
It's more
comics.
than I made
I
through
mean,
my college
but it's
career.
like drawing comics. It's pretty sick.
You got to do what you loved.
Yeah, and then it didn't pay enough, so I had to sell out
I
to
mean,
this.
You're so old that 986 probably wasn't that bad back then.
980 wasn't so bad, except the sandwiches at Ralph's went from $5.99 to $6.99 to $7.99 right in front of my face. College, in the
All of
early
a sudden, you
2000s.
used to be able to afford 1.5 sandwiches an hour. and
Exactly.
before you knew it, you could only afford 1.2.
And then I had to go to the,
Yeah.
the dollar menu at
You know,
McDonald's.
the rake on the sandwiches went up.
So I went to the dollar menu at McDonald's back then, and then, when I go busto, it's for a different reason. Same reason, but different premise. Anyway, so I met Maria Ho back then at UCSD, and we weren't like the degens that we were, right? So we would. I can't even say this with a straight face in front of you. Anyway, shout out to Andy Wang, which is
How
going
do
to
you
end the
not get
story.
Maria on here? She would have a great time with
No,
you.
she will come on, but like she's doing all her crazy stuff.
She's a real person, unlike
Yes.
us. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. I understand.
Okay, speak for yourself. She's been trying to make me a real person since like back then, but I
She
just keep
didn't
refusing.
even try with me.
Well, we're like siblings, so it's like, like there were some, oh man, I don't even want to say this stuff on there. Anyway.
Yeah, no, save this one for later.
Yeah. So we go to start from like 3-6 limit hold'em. Like I said, no flop, no drop, changing tables, and just like then the 4-8 limit hold'em. My win rate was huge. It was like $40 an hour, and like I was like,
Oh yeah,
I was playing perfect. Look,
Oh, how are you running though?
I was obviously running good, but I also played perfect. Like back then,
You just folded every time.
somebody raised. It was
And you
like
would fold
aces,
two jacks.
kings.
Yeah, no, you just
I
fold
would fold ace,
jacks.
queen from the big blind.
It's fine. I mean,
And then,
it's
like-
offsuit.
It was.
Yeah.
No, but this is how it was because people would only raise aces and kings.
Wayne, I've played 0-0 before. When there's $0 in the pot, the man that only has like queens or better raises, you just fold.
Right.
It's fine.
Right. But like to the audience, they're like, "Oh my God, you're in the 3-bet ace queen. You bet to balance your range for the ace X suit."
Well,
It was like-
let me tell you guys, it wasn't quite like that back then.
right. And then like people would watch. I would show them my cards, ace queen, and fold from the big blind, and people behind me were like, "What?" And then it would be like ace queen 3, and they're like, "Look," and the guy's got aces.
You shouldn't have showed. It was bad. for the
I
game.
didn't show them. I showed my buddies who were like
Oh.
standing behind me. I was like, "Dude,
Yeah,
this is how you
it's-
play now."
Yeah.
And
It's a little
things have
sketchy for
changed.
anyone to see it, but
Yeah.
yeah. I do. I mean, there was a man we used
It
to
was to
call
prove
him
a point. Yeah.
Quiet Salim. We called him.
What was
But
this?
this was back in 2007. When he raised under the gun in the 40-80, I mean, you could confidently throw away.
Queens.
No, two jacks was
Two
a very
jacks.
very easy fold. Ace queen suit, ace king offsuit. You reluctantly you would have to come in, but quiet Salim, you just knew like
He's got a
when a
big
man's
one.
raising under the gun, like you just have to play 3% of your hands. That's just the way things are gonna be. Whereas against a normal person, of
I'm
course,
gonna
you'll
drop.
3-bet ace 10 offsuit. But
I'll throw so many people on the bus. So like Anna, she raised under the gun. I mucked ace jack, and it like hit somebody's hand, and it flipped over
that's been one of my
like right
biggest.
behind her. Yeah, and then everyone's like,
Did you play much with Jaeger or no?
yes, online
So
too.
Jaeger and I had like an ongoing joke. Like I was known as like a maniac in limit hold'em. Like I just literally someone's nickname for me was the guy that never stopped raising. And one time something exactly like that happened. Someone opened it and I just like accidentally exposed ace jack offsuit or something. And they're like, "What's happened?" I was like, "I can wait." And then like Jaeger just laughed, and from then on, like anytime someone made it even slightly tight fold, just like, no, 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 I can wait, I can wait. And that was just like the thing at Commerce for months.
So Jaeger Tsurikov is actually better known from Hearthstone now because he
This
was like he
I haven't talked to him in
competed.
ages. I ran into him maybe a couple of years ago in Vegas.
I go to like national Hearthstone tournaments and they're like, yeah, it's Corextron, which was his PokerStars name.
Of course,
I don't remember his full tilt name. Do you remember?
Xerox
Xerox
420.
420. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like Hearthstone players would recognize him. And Hearthstone has like 100 million people that play the game, so that's what he's known
Yeah,
for.
I would have rated him as one of the top 3 to 5 limit hold'em players at the time.
Yeah.
He
So
was an excellent player.
I think it was around like 2007, and this is cool because it's like I watched him like move up the stakes because we had Poker Tracker, and we're totally getting ahead of ourselves. But shout out to Jaeger. Um, yeah, at that time he just like went low, and then he would do like weird stuff like limp small blind against big blind, and I'm like I labeled fish like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then but he would like play post flop while I'm like
He
gotta
was
reconsider.
he was far ahead of the game in terms of live poker.
Yeah,
I would say, I mean, he and I were also the only two playing every single day, anyone that would play.
yeah.
But I think we were by far the best players in those games at that time. But he was a fantastic poker. Does he even play anymore? I mean,
Yeah, he plays 2-4 here.
oh,
And
does he? Okay, yeah, I saw him playing at
200,
Bellagio.
400 for those of you guys
Yes.
that don't know acronyms. Yeah, no, but I saw him coming up, and he also knew John Murphy, Casey McCarroll, Devin Miller. He was younger than them.
Would you
the
believe
same
that John
area.
Murphy was like one of my poker heroes, having never met him, just because he was like Murph
Have you met
Dog?
him?
I mean, I met him. He was like, I don't want to be mean, but like, he was like some random guy playing 40-80 at the. Like, I didn't care. He was like,
He's backed by Jaeger.
yeah, probably at the time I met him. Like, I didn't like. I just remember him like doing really well in the main event the
He
year
did,
that
yeah.
Raymer won, and
Yeah.
like he didn't show up or something for the final 2 days. He was
I
very
don't
late or
know.
something, and he was like Murph Dog is like the greatest. Anyways, like
We
not
played
to like
Magic
big
back in the
time him,
day,
but like
yeah.
by the time I met him, he was like some small stakes peasant. Like I didn't
Sure.
care anymore. He was like
Sure.
a little ant that I might burn with my magnifying glass. But
Technically, that's what we are for those monsters right now, right?
well, yeah, I mean, I don't even play poker. Like everyone that works on their game is better than me, but like
Sure, yeah.
I try to win. It doesn't mean I'm gonna.
Sure. So anyway, we came up with the live low stakes, and online came out like there was Paradise Poker at the time, and I won, but it
Before
wasn't.
my time.
Huh?
Before my more or less before my time.
It was like 2003, and shout out to Todd Bowie. He did well at UC Irvine and on Paradise Poker, and he did better than me. I only won a few hundred or something like that, and then
Dollars or $100,000?
no, couple $100 like.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
No. Later on, it's going to get to those amounts, but like these are the early days.
You and Bowie are battling it out for the
I don't
ones
know.
of dollars.
I know he did better than me. I just don't know. I don't remember the dollar amount that he won, but it was probably in like the 10s, 20s, or 30s. But I only won a few hundred, and then I would play live, and then just slowly go up the ranks, like 816 at Viejas,
That was
and
my game.
and then eventually 2040 Ocean's 11, and there was overs, and then 4080 as well. But online party poker, which you did too, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, party and all the beautiful
And
skins.
Eurobet
Trying to
skins.
Eurobet Coral poker.
I only
Anyways,
did Eurobet and party poker because it's all we needed. 16
Yeah.
tables.
Empire, beautiful
Empire,
Empire
yeah.
poker. So many skins.
Rake back.
I mean, even if you didn't know how to win, you could grind out 1,200 a week just doing those beautiful little bonuses.
Sure. So it was 15-30, and then there was like one 30-60 table, right? Or was it two? Eventually two, but I think it started with one.
When they had it, I played literally $1, $2, and I was like, I was
Were you
working,
watching it?
I would like read 2+2, but I was just working on my game in the lab,
Okay.
which for me was like basically like just tying my shoes over and over and like hoping it somehow made me better at poker. But yeah,
So I remember we would watch the 30-60 limit hold'em because there was only one table, and we'd be like, wow,
no, it was
these guys
like,
must be so advanced.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what's funny is like a lot of people that you run to for Magic and like computer games, they use their names from the other one, so I actually knew who they were. Like John Finkel, like Magic Legend, he would use Finkel on.
yeah,
I was like, well, I guess I know you're not an idiot, so
right, yeah.
I know how to play you. I forgot, like XDS Gur was my StarCraft nemesis, was also Gur dot 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 dot. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna be hard to figure out. Good thing I changed my name so they don't know who I am.
People like they didn't realize how big poker was or could be, I guess, at the time.
Yeah, but like, whatever. I did well on Party for Limit Hold'em, and then No Limit came out, and people warned me that's like really dangerous, which it is if you don't know what you're doing. But if you're ahead of the curve, it's very nice. I like. So I did well on Party Poker. I don't know if I hit the 6-figure marks, but I definitely hit like high 5 figures. And then my big score was on Hollywood Poker, which James Wood's brother actually like programmed or something. Because I asked James Woods, like, oh yeah, and James Woods was sponsored by it, so it makes sense,
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah.
So I did very, very well, and Hollywood Poker was a skin for, I don't know what the actual site was, but I don't know if you remember this in like 2005, like Dream Clown and Negranu got at it.
I mean, Matt and whoever else like at the time.
I don't know who it
acceptable
was.
thing, but Matt, it was Woodrow and other people, or
Okay.
maybe just Woodrow. Who cares? But they were playing 500, 1,000,
Yeah,
unimaginable stakes at the time.
right. So it was the same like skin, and then I would watch I would read Negranu's like full contact
That was
blog.
I was gonna say like that was I guess a full contact skin then. Probably wasn't that
Full
a
contact
site?
was one of the skins.
Okay.
It was the same skin.
Of the site of whatever it happened to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I watched them play like heads up and like three-handed, like limit hold'em, like massive stakes. It was up to like 500, 1,000, and one of my buddies, was like I told him about, it, and he's like, "You want in the game?" He's like, "Sure." And I bad beat you on PokerStars and Kenny Lou.
Okay, fantastic. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, so he did really well on Party Poker.
Old
He
KL.
was way ahead of the curve even
Yeah.
before us, and he crushed Party Poker. He crushed PokerStars and blah blah blah. Anyway, he also took like that game for like a little bit, but I did really well, No Limit, and all I did was like play like 5-10 or something like that. And I actually think I might have gotten super usered when I was playing 5100.
Probably.
I lost 30 in like less than an hour. This is 30K now.
Yeah, I
now
mean,
the story's
I mean, it
entering
was
the echelon.
like 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
Probably you got cheated. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Right, and I just like after I lost 30, I was just like, I'll go back to 5-10.
At the time, did you consider that like something had gone awry, or
Yeah,
did you-
I saw some hands, and I was just like the hand I played, the guy just like shipped it and I heroed
Yeah.
with like a reason. I had ace 10, and it was four-handed.
Yeah.
And it was an ace, and it just like, this is 2005, and I was just like, I would play the hand weird too, and I was inducing the bluff. And then he just goes, oh, I'm just like,
The interesting thing about like people had a much more unorthodox way of playing, and like
yeah, that's true.
there was like such a vast like skill differential between the best players and like the decent players and the bad
Highly
players.
possible I got outplayed.
Of course,
Yeah.
but like at the same time, like
It's highly
it
possible.
makes it way easier for someone to like take advantage of that, and it looks normal. Whereas now you'd be like, there's probably something going on. here.
Right.
Like nobody plays like this.
Yeah. So online in this era is actually what detracted me from live, which we had met at that time, like 4080 when Mike L was playing at Ocean's 11. I skipped the party poker thing. I crushed the 215 SNGs for an obscene high ROI. Like no one would believe it nowadays, but back then it was just super easy. My ROI was like 60 something %.
I don't know the first thing about tournaments, but I'll believe that that's
It's
impressive.
insane.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, like, literally overnight, everything got super hard. And I talked about Bryce,
Was
and
this like as a result of UIGEA or?
I think it was like Harrington's book came out, and enough people like read it because 215 sit and goes are not a small amount. Like,
I mean, this in this day and age, that would be considered pretty high stakes. But at that time, like people
it was
that,
the biggest. Like, there were 109s and 215s. Those were the highest stakes. So, and the pool wasn't like super big. Like, you see the same names. But the thing is, like, you know how it is. You can't keep firing those dollar amounts, and like, if you suck, you're going broke.
of
you know?
course, yeah, or
So,
you're gonna lose enough money that you're gonna be like, this
F
isn't
this.
fun, or I'm gonna get better,
Right. So
which
just
is what any normal person would do, of course.
literally overnight, they got super hard, and I was like, probably still a winner, but going from like 60 to like
Of course,
10, I'm
no,
just like,
you're
I'm
going,
the worst of all
you're going
time.
from like, you're like in 10 years I'm gonna be unimaginably wealthy to like,
Yeah.
in 10 years I'm still gonna be clipping coupons for McDonald's.
Right. And this was while I was in college, and we talked about this too, especially being Asian. I got to finish college, or there's, as you say, great shame. But
Yes.
as I also say, you finish college for your future in-laws, not yourself.
It's the same thing, Wayne. It's the same thing.
Sure.
It's the same thing.
Anyway, in 2005 on Hollywood Poker, I did very well, and I don't know. I still played on Party too. Like, my screen name was Jack Bauer. The E was a 3. Actually, all my names, the
God.
E is a 3.
God, it doesn't get much nerdier than that.
Screw you. 24 was awesome.
No,
That
it's-
time, no, 24 hadn't caught on. It was like
I mean, my AIM screen names at the time all had 182 at the end. I didn't even fucking like Blink 182, but I still had
just did it?
182 at the end of my names.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm embarrassed to actually say since we already mentioned Maria.
Well, it's already too
I was,
late,
No,
man.
I was
We've
going to
already-
say what her AIM names were, but
Oh, I know
won't.
what it is, yeah.
I can think of a couple, but I'm not going to say them.
there were no vowels in it.
No, there was an A.
Oh, was there? Okay. Predominantly no vowels.
There was one A.
Okay. Okay, maybe you knew. I don't know. It's stalker.
No, AZN. There's an A in AZN for Asian. We're thinking of a different
That's
screen
you're
name. then.
definitely not. That was. Oh, it might have been a different screen. The
She had a
main one I'm
couple,
thinking. Anyway,
but yeah.
Oh,
I was
let's not
thinking-
throw her under the bus. She went
Anyways.
to. She did homework every night, in bed, sleeping by 10 p.m., church every Sunday.
No, we were all a little different back then. Wayne had his 3s, I had my 182s, and Maria had her lack of vowels, but otherwise normal screen names, just no vowels.
Sure.
I mean, among the three of us, in a long, long time ago, she did have the superior AIM screen names.
It's also easier when you're an attractive Asian female to have a cool Asian cool screen.
Because AIM, nobody cares.
Oh, they care. They care. Shout out to Ramsey Dew, aka Ram Dizzle. So then it was like a little bit like I finished school, and I've told the audience that I tried to be a screenwriter too, and I tried to finish college. So I was doing like all this stuff. Like, I would play 6 months in the year and just like write 6 months in the year. And at that time, I was a lazy ass grinder, and even then, it might be more diligent than some of your grinding days.
I'm maybe
Throwing you under the bus.
No, I'm the worst professional of anything of all time.
Yeah, so that pretty much heads into your era of like when you were coming up. So how did
I mean, I didn't realize that you were around for so many years before I was playing, but I mean, my
I
rise...
stayed under the radar. I
Yeah.
mean, people knew who I was, but like I just stayed under the radar until like everybody had to collide.
Yeah, I mean, my rise was just exceptionally uninspiring. I mean, I was losing my $50 every now and then, but eventually, like I said, I was playing the Raz and Stud 8 or betters back on full tilt, and I turned my 50 into 200, into 400, into 600, into 800 over many, many months. I literally went from 25, 50-cent limit up and up the stakes, like, and thank goodness back then you had that kind of option, like,
Right.
even at 25 cent, 50 cent, like, you were getting 30% rake back, like, that was
Sure.
maybe 100 or so, which, I mean, you're playing, the game has a 50-cent big bet, and you're making another $100 or $200 a week in rake back, like,
Right.
it's exceptional,
Sure.
and you just rise up to
The
a
ranks.
$1 game, to a $2 game, and when I got, like, to the $2, like, poker games. I finally bought all the 2+2 books. I bought myself the poker tracker, and I decided to commit myself to limit hold'em.
Yeah.
And I moved up to 3-6 pretty rapidly. And before you know it, I was playing like 3-6 and 5-10 on Party Poker.
Yeah.
And I was playing 8-16 at the Viejas. That was the high stakes, the big game, the most disgusting yellow chips of all time. I actually went there for lunch recently. They haven't had a poker room for 10 or 12 years, but I'm sure they threw away all the $10 or $12 chips long ago. But that was the place to be at the time when you were under 21.
I forgot to mention me and Andy's blackjack stint.
Oh goodness, were you guys card counters?
Yes. So Barona had a single deck which no longer exists. You couldn't resplit aces, but you could surrender, which for those of you guys who play blackjack out there, it's just like that game was obscene. The house only has a .02 house edge. And just anything on top of that is just gravy.
Right. I don't know the first thing about blackjack, but I would assume like even the most marginally positive count
yes.
is...
But I made it my business to murder that game.
Right.
Like we only got a
So
week.
long story short, it's your fault that nobody gets to play that game anymore.
I got barred after a week. I don't think. I mean, some of the stuff that I did is not in books, and easily provable that I'm right. And if the people eyes in the sky see it and it's not in any books.
I hate to. You look like a smart guy. Like
that's what Andy said. Andy's like, you look like you're trying to take all their money.
Yeah, I mean, you're just like you're doing dumb stuff and winning, and they're just like, no, we're not gonna have none of the like. But even in this day and age, like they just like if they see someone winning, they're like they're either cheating or they figured out something that we don't have figured out. So just it's fine. Maybe they're lucky, but either way, there's a lot of other people that aren't lucky right now, and they're gonna keep gambling, and this guy won't.
So one of the crazy things, like, if the audience plays blackjack, that if you have 2 sevens against a 10, even in double deck, and especially 6 deck, you're supposed to hit 2 sevens against a 10.
But in single deck, it's a split somehow?
It's a stay.
A stay. Okay, of course I don't know that.
I know, but I studied it, but I'll explain why. It's because 2 of the sevens are missing in the deck.
Okay, I mean, that certainly makes sense, of course, yeah.
And then once you see a lot of the math, you extrapolate, like, a lot of... other edges you can get, so to say. So another one of the weird ones is if you have 2 9s against an ace in normal double deck and 6 deck, you stay. In single deck, you split. Because,
but based on what you told me about the 2 sevens, like that, it certainly makes sense, yeah.
What's your explanation?
I mean... You're
the dealer doesn't have blackjack,
right?
So if you hit a 10, your 19 should be good, and if you hit an ace, you're good,
right?
So that's basically we figured out.
There's more of the cards you want and less of the ones you don't. Like,
right.
That's just,
so we figured that out. So Andy and I developed a system. Oh my gosh, we're gonna reveal this in a future YouTube video. But this is what we did. We split up the jobs. So I had him keep track of the 4s, 5s, and 6s. Mm-hmm. So when we had bricks, we just stay if the card that we need is missing. Like if we have 16s and Andy was like he was keeping track of the 5s and the 4s, we can't hit 21 or 20, and we just straight up murdered them.
Yeah, I mean it's not surprising. I mean things were much different in the gambling world 10, 12, 15 years ago.
The other thing that they didn't figure out was the insurance thing, which I'm gonna put that in the future YouTube video. So sorry guys, no spoilers, but those of you guys who are bright up here can pretty much figure out.
I mean, I don't really, but it's basic like card removal. Like pretty much anyone thinks about it at this point. Like even the most like layman person is familiar with blockers in poker, and it's obviously relevant in blackjack.
Sure. And we just totally tangentially.
How do we?
This is supposed to be. It's supposed to be your story. I'm just oh, by the way, guys, me.
And guys, here's this great story about blackjack, which everyone on Live at the Bike wants to hear.
It's actually true. They keep.
I actually really enjoy the story. I've never heard it before.
Yeah.
Wayne's told me all kinds of stories, but this one's a fresh one to me. It's pretty interesting. Now I know why nobody can make money playing blackjack in San Diego.
I am not welcome in San Diego or Nevada in blackjack. And I was really sad when I got barred. Actually, I went to Vegas with a billionaire, and he got me unbarred for that trip. I was like, oh my goodness.
You probably risked him getting barred just by you being with him.
Absolutely not.
No?
There's no way.
Was it Andy Beal?
No,
I was gonna say because I hope he's coming back soon.
no. But
Here,
speaking of Andy Beal, we're gonna try to run, and I had mentioned this on Twitter, a high stakes limit hold'em. So
I
Andy Beal, if
cannot
you're
wait.
listening, we're gonna run a high stakes limit hold'em on Live at the Bike around March. At least 500, 1,000.
I would suggest limit hold'em. The game is Joe Ingram calls PLO the great game.
Yeah,
What do I call limit hold'em?
the greatest
The
game.
greatest game. I mean, there's nothing but action. Nobody ever stops socializing,
I
and
trolled.
someone actually scoops the pot every hand, unlike mixed games.
Right. I trolled Joey, and I was just like, I called the great game of Limit Hold'em, and then he just like texted me one day. He's like, Wayne, you can't do this,
Well,
dude.
of course, you're dead wrong. It's the greatest game. I mean, PLO's fine. You just
I
saw me playing it. It was good. It was good, but
I renamed it the classic game of Limit Hold'em.
no, the greatest game.
So many people would disagree, and
Well,
I
that's
just
fine. People
well,
have opinions. They can be wrong.
I knew you were gonna say that. I literally knew. I knew him well enough to say that, or to predict that. So, anyway, let's just go to your story about how you came up.
I mean, we've already been through it. Like I said, I rose up through the stakes quickly.
Yeah.
I was blessed to be in a coming up in a time when they pretty much just threw money at you, even if you were playing very small stakes.
Yeah.
And at $1, $2, I decided that I needed to actually learn and improve my game beyond just like waiting for a hand that looked good. Like actually learn how to bet my hands properly.
Right.
So I got the poker tracker. I got all the 2+2 books, and I rose up 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6. I was playing 3-6 online and 8-16 live. 3-6 online was of course exceptionally tougher, but it was like it was like cutting butter with a knife, but like one like the knife was actually on fire, so it was kind of hard to touch, and the other just like it slid through real nice. But
So
yeah.
poetic.
No, I was I guess 19 or 20 at the time. Come 21, I went to Ocean's 11, started playing 40-80, and Mike L and I became kind of friends. When I was 21, I
He
came.
thinks I hate him.
He doesn't. He's ridiculous. But yeah, I started playing 61-20, 100, 200 limit hold'em at Commerce, and like it was a relatively linear rise up to like I would say 400, 800. But like there's like
That's
even
the highest I played.
even back then, like there's a lot of very strong players.
Sure, yeah.
I wasn't playing only limit hold'em. Like at some point in there, I started playing mixed games, and like nobody even now is very good at all the games, but everyone has their
Favorite,
strong
yeah.
points and that kind
Sure.
of thing. And like I truthfully really didn't know what I was doing in most of the games other than limit hold'em. Like literally, my reputation in hold'em was just the guy that never stopped raising. Which it turns out when everyone c bets every street up until the river, you can bluff raise on the turn a lot. You can use that one now if you want, because it's not going to work very well. You're going to lose a lot of money because people don't just bet the turn every time anymore. But
Back then.
it was a different time, and up to then it was a pretty linear rise. But like you pretty much you hit a rough patch because you're going to hit some pretty exceptional players at that level, even back then. And I made some bad decisions. I ran poorly, and like things spun down.
This is
And
2013.
this is no, like 2010, 11ish, and I was like playing 400, 800, and 600, 1200 every day, and like it's like it's poker. Like there's going to be periods of time in live poker where you just don't turn over a winning hand, and like that's just how it is. But
Yep, I've told the audience.
like conventional wisdom was like you need 300 big bets. Let me tell you, you do not need 300 big bets. Like that's not going to do. But to me, I thought you needed 300, and you didn't. You needed a lot more. So I went on a pretty significant downswing, and I went from like this was like mostly voluntarily. I could still play like larger, but I more or less went from like 400, 800 to 100, 200 to 40-80 like in the span of 3 weeks, just being like, you know what, like
Irresponsible?
no, like responsible. I tried to be. I was like, hey, like you know what, like you actually need more money than people think you need. Like I should like. I need to like at the very least like I need to feel like I can win before I like rise up in stakes.
Right.
And I kind of just like quit poker with like a not a large bankroll, but with like most people would still consider it like a healthy 200
Sure.
400 bankroll, but I was like, man, like fuck this game kind of. I was just like no, I was like this was like easy, and now it's like impossible, and I'm miserable every day. And like I guess when you're how old was I back then? What was this? I guess
You
I was
said
like
2010.
yeah,
so that's 9 years
like,
ago.
yeah, I was like 23, 24, and I was like I have like 140,000. Obviously, I'm gonna retire. Like,
I Man, this is brutal because we both came from like middle class families,
Yeah.
right? So I don't think our parents were good at growing money because they're middle class. And
Right.
the famous book that kind of like hits the public with this concept is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You know this book?
I am not familiar at all, Wayne.
Okay. Anyway, the author, whether he's a legit person or not, brings out the concept that the rich dad like was like innovative and like did all like this crazy stuff, whereas the poor dad just stayed in school, was like, PhD, blah blah blah. Which back in the late 20th century seemed like a stable and smart thing to do, but as the world gets more competitive and there's more options, it becomes outdated. Um, so if we had better financial guidance, then with the money that we made, we could have handled it better.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were a very interesting mix of the way they dealt with money. Neither one I would call close to optimal, but
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
But at least they didn't go broke, right?
I didn't learn anything. Well, I learned what not to do,
Yeah.
more or less, I would say.
Okay.
One was terrible with money. One was they were terrible in different ways. One squandered it all. One was didn't spend enough, I would actually say,
Sure.
because it turns out like actually it's worth putting money into some things
Yeah.
at times
That's a concept
to like save yourself money in the future.
yeah.
But yeah.
Shots fired to our parents. I had a really good childhood, and just
No, my
like
parents were fantastic.
yeah,
but
just like, and I have loving parents, but just like the adaptation of the world, they just like were very poor. I paid for my parents like cell phones, smartphones, like I got them the dual monitors, like the tablets, and they just like didn't understand that this is a basic necessity now. I was the one that like imposed that we have to get internet in like the
I mean,
90s.
both my parents have passed away, but like it hasn't been long enough that they didn't both need smartphones.
Yeah,
Neither one of them would even consider it. I'd be like, this is like
necessity.
no, like this will improve your like.
Yeah.
I'm happy to show you like the basic functions of this product that you need.
Yeah.
Like it's flat out gonna make your life better. But they're like, no, I'll keep my
Right.
9-button phone and.
It's a shout out to Nokia.
Yeah, I mean they had their beautiful little black and white or green and white.
Actually, a buddy like Kane, you know him too, and you played with him. He was the one that kind of like, dude, get an iPhone, get an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
The
"Dude,
first time I ever
dude."
saw an iPhone was Crazy Mike,
Which-
Viejas 2007 or 8.
Okay.
He had the first one I had ever seen. And I
See,
had
Vieja is showing you the world. In different
yeah,
ways.
it really it exposed me to a reality. I still had I had finally upgraded to a color phone, but I had a flip phone and he had an iPhone, and they obviously weren't quite what they are now, but
Right.
even so, very impressive.
So, you did well online, right? Because Bryce actually didn't, and I was really surprised. Bryce
Yeah,
Yockey.
I mean, I did. I was a very large winner in Limit Hold'em. Yeah.
I did. I made more in No Limit, but when it was easier.
Yeah, I did not. I had a very short, maybe 10, 20,000 no limit hold'em hand career. I watched some. What the hell was it?
Stocks Trader.
Stocks Poker was his training site.
I don't know.
Stocks Trader was the person, but Taylor
Yeah.
Cabey was involved. No, not
I hate to
Card
bang
Runners.
bang. I didn't need training back then.
Neither did I. Mean, I didn't for limit hold'em, but for no limit, I didn't really. Anyways, whatever stocks is, I guess it was Stocks Poker or something like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I downloaded or didn't download. I guess you just watched them back then. But yeah, I watched those and I tried to play, but I would only like branch out when I was running poorly in other games. I was like, let me try something else.
Yeah.
But I was also fortunate, I was playing mostly maybe like 10, 20, 15, 30 limit hold'em. And when I was running poorly and that, like, Stars was introducing great new things, like the triple draws, the horse. I remember.
Oh, yeah. I remember that
I
era.
didn't know Jimmy Freaky Gaba Boy at all, and then they added the 10-20 horse, and he and I played together every day.
Shout out to Jimmy.
And you start talking on AIM as one did back at that time about like
And people
the game.
were
And,
like better people back then.
yeah, no, I was actually at dinner with a bunch of like old school poker players.
Did they comment on this too?
we're talking about like people we haven't talked about in forever, like Peachy Mare, whether or not she was. You don't even remember Peachy Mare, whether or not she was actually a woman or not. Anyways,
I don't care about those things.
right. It doesn't matter. But I was like, man, like deuce to seven triple draw. I didn't know the first thing about the game.
Yeah.
I met like random people on Ultimate Bet playing $2, $4, and we would like seriously talk about the game and like why we were doing what we were doing.
Wow, that's crazy.
I couldn't tell you like the nature of any of the conversations, but like even though we didn't know each other, we were all like very serious about improving our deuce to seven triple draw game.
Yeah.
Over a $2 and $4 limit poker game. And now that's obviously not even close to a thing.
Speaking of female, let's talk about females in poker in the online presence. So, Sally Wu on Full Tilt, do you remember this? She would, like, he/she, most likely would sit on all the tables heads up.
Sally was a guy, as we all know now.
I don't know. Who is it?
It's
I just don't know. I never...
Crazy Mike knows, but I thought it was like a Russian guy or something. I don't recall,
really?
But yeah.
But I would like sit and, I'm not...
Yeah.
I'm sure he is better than me, but he wouldn't play.
He was a very strong player for his time. I don't know one way or the other how he would hold up now.
Yeah.
You have people like Stickman who are still exceptional players.
Confirmed female was Palomino.
Palomino.
I love Kristen.
I miss her. She's
in Colorado now. Yeah.
Did she move back there?
No, she was from like Minnesota, I think, and then she came out to LA for a bit.
I thought she had the horses.
She did.
In Colorado, or were they in Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Okay. For some reason, I thought they were already in
She came to LA. She's a high stakes crusher, and she was so responsible, unlike us, playing live. But also, she didn't grind. So how responsible could she be?
Well, she used to work very hard, but only for like brief periods of time. Yeah, she would go back to her normal life.
I would play with her like every day on Full Tilt.
Yeah.
And she was actually a big winner against me, like, whatever.
I mean, she and I saved a lot of money at the Commerce splitting rooms, I can tell you.
Wow.
A fortune.
You got that relationship. I'm just kidding.
Why are you looking at me like that? No.
I'm kidding.
That's the way my girlfriend looked at me when I told her I split a room with her. Come on.
I don't know. Whatever.
Come on.
I just, like, whatever.
But no, she was fantastic. She was one of my favorite people in poker. It's a shame.
She's awesome.
It's probably for the best for her that she's not around anymore, but I would say poker is worse off without her around.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, I don't even want to, like, call her in public. Like, I don't know what, like, I know stuff about her, but I don't want to necessarily say something. Anyway.
I have no interest in commenting on what you're probably thinking.
It's really boring. I just don't want to.
Oh, never mind.
It's really... This is so bad that it's on air. And I wish I could just, like, ask her, hey, is this kosher?
It's not on air.
Anyway.
You can just delete it. But no, I'm not interested in discussing anything.
Anyway, she was a crusher. She played up to 200, 400 on Poker Stars. Probably even higher. I don't know. But she came out to L.A. She was lazy at grinding. She's going to admit it herself.
Well, she had too much fun, just like we all do. We got caught up in the live poker player lifestyle, and all of a sudden you're having fondue 4 days a week with me. And... you can never say no to fondue.
Swag on you.
All the beautiful hockey games. You got the free box seats.
Oh, she loved hockey.
Yeah, no, we went to more, but we went to at least every King's Wild match.
Okay.
And we got the free box from the casino, so it was just obviously an incredible experience.
Anyway, she moved to Colorado because she wanted a slower lifestyle.
To be a person.
And just like, I hear Colorado games are still good.
It's funny. Do you remember Stinky Pete?
No.
Well, either way, I just talked to him. That's where he is.
Okay. I heard a lot of people moved out there. So
I don't know if he moved out there permanently, but that's where he went to have a little bit of fun. He told me to, under no circumstances, tell anyone that that's where he was.
Okay.
Which, I mean,
bang bang! He just revealed it. Whoa! Nobody cares.
It's not like a secret. There's a 30-60 game there. Like, go if you want. It's limit poker. Nobody wants to play that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do. I'll be there next week, but the rest of you guys have no interest in
Let's bet on that. I bet you won't be there next week.
There's more of a chance that I'll still be in this booth right here talking to you next week than that I'll be in Colorado.
I know. That's why I was going to bet you confidently.
I will freeze to death before I even get off the airplane.
Yeah.
A person like me shouldn't be in a place like that.
So after Black Friday, so what happened to the first smack to reality was Net Teller going down, which I was in the scene, like, on top of things. Like, I don't remember how I got wind of it that Net Teller was going to go down, so I pulled out everything.
I feel like we all heard it might happen. We're like, no, It's fine. It's
Not
fine.
me. I took it seriously.
I mean, I didn't. I had my entire bankroll on there.
Well, someone's an idiot.
I had
It wasn't me.
Wayne, it was $700. That was a lot of money.
Oh.
It was my entire bankroll, Wayne. It might have been like 1,200, but yeah. Either way, my entire bankroll was on there.
I had a little bit more than you.
Well, of course you did. Can we take a break really fast?
Sure.
All right. I need to piss more than anything ever.
So, what happened with you with Black Friday? Because that is when I didn't have.
So the
much.
funny thing is, I kind of forgot that Black Friday was a thing, to be honest.
What do you mean?
Which is pretty ridiculous considering the fact that like my massive downswing was right when Black Friday happened.
That's actually what happened to me. I didn't win for 2 months.
Right.
I was like break even or slightly losing actually.
Yeah, I just woke up one day and like I think Kim and I had broken up like 4 months. We hadn't really talked, and she's like, "My fucking money is gone."
Shout out to Kim.
I mean, maybe
Who
she'll
does
walk
that?
in at any time. But anyway, she's like, "My money's gone. What are we supposed to do?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And our money was gone. What were we supposed to do?
Right.
But yeah, Full Tilt and PokerStars were shut down, and like I was literally in the middle of like losing 50,000 every single day at the casino. But thank goodness, like at least I could go online. Like maybe one day I would play 1,000, 2,000. Maybe one day I would play 1530.
Mm-hmm.
But like the games were good, and like they were just going like there was something you could have fun in and like hopefully make money at
Right.
every day.
Right.
And like all of a sudden it was gone.
Yeah.
And even now I guess I don't like really appreciate how hard it actually ruined my career briefly. But like for some reason like it still doesn't sink in that that's like actually like I was like, I just lost all this money at Commerce, but like I also lost the opportunity
Yeah.
to like do the thing that could help me recuperate like really quickly. Like
Right.
this is like you could fire up 4, 6, 10 tables of 1530 limit hold'em, like very, very juicy games.
I mentioned this on the Bryce podcast. Like, when I would spend my dollars, I only needed like 2K and play like 10, 20 or $1, $2 no limit and just like run it up.
Right. No, it's just I've said it before, but like I went through like a $35,000 downswing at one point years before playing 40-80 limit hold'em, which for most people was
Wow.
like it was at Ocean's 11, which as you know at the time was a very soft game.
But also you have overs, right?
I was always
See?
opting for but either way, 7 weeks in a row I wired myself 5,000 from Full Tilt
Yeah.
that I had won playing 10-20 and 15-30.
How much was the wire?
5,000 per week was
No,
I
but
think
you have to pay a fee.
Oh, there was no fee at that time. Maybe $50.
No, there definitely was a fee because when I got the checks, they would take a little bit
I
off.
promise you, it was between $0 and $50.
Okay, I know. It was small, but I
exceptionally,
know.
exceptionally. So it was
Yeah.
probably $50 then.
Okay.
But I would wire myself 5,000 every week, promptly lose it every single, either Thursday or Friday, whatever happened to be the first day that week for 7
Right.
weeks in a row. People are like, "That's impossible. You're not playing winning poker." And everyone would be like, "You're just like obviously not playing." I'm like, "I'm literally playing exactly
And you're
the
just
same
dealt
as I always
lose,
do."
but you're also dealt losers, right?
No, it's just like very like people are like, "This just can't happen," and I'm like,
It can happen.
I've seen this 10 times before. Like it happens
Right.
all. It's like incredibly upsetting
Yeah.
because it's so much money. But like at the same time, like thank goodness I had that to fall back on. I was like
Sure.
I was making the money back in a tougher and smaller game that I had access to 24/7.
Right.
And like I even now I really like I don't think I appreciate how good I had it, how good
Oh, I
so many
appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah, it was like an incredible resource that we had
Yeah.
to be able to just log on and play such a wide variety of stakes and poker variants.
Right. So when Black Friday hit, I actually went on the Cake Network and played No Limit. I don't remember 2-4, 3-6, all the way up to like 10-20.
I remember Cake. I played
Yeah.
very rarely 20-40 limit hold'em on that network. Oh, they had it.
They had
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
okay.
I remember it only because people that owed me money would occasionally send me money,
Uh-huh.
and they'd be like, "Yeah, I got 1,200 for you," and I'd be like, "Fuck, I mean, what am I gonna do with 1,200?"
Fired up.
And let me tell you, as much as I play, I did not cash out not $1 did I retrieve from.
Cake?
Yeah, and it's not because they stole my money. I lost it fair and square. I lost every
I
cent.
got wind that
Yeah.
there were going to be problems, so I just aggressively cashed out
it was
5K at a time.
Cake and WPX, WSX.
Oh,
World
yeah, there
Sports
was no
Exchange.
rake. There was no rake.
Right, those two websites. Many times I received player transfers, not even once. There's no cheating, nothing unsavory. I lost it. They beat me. Yeah, just lots of money.
Yeah, for Cake, I just ran it up, and then I would just aggressively cash out, and just like when I was on a downswing and I was down to my last 5K, I'm like, dude, I don't even care. Like, this is probably just gonna end. Like, snap me off. Like, net teller and Black Friday, so I just busted that and just played live.
Yeah.
Which we ended up playing live after that during Commerce.
I was gonna say you and I were playing together roughly at that time.
What was your name? I don't even remember my name on there.
On Cake?
Yeah.
Oh, if my life depended on it, I probably had someone else make me the account
Yeah.
just so people could send me the money. I have.
Right. I don't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
I know my name. All my E's are threes.
No, I was gonna say you could tell me your name. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
I played maybe.
There were a
I
couple
played
name
500
players.
hands on there and I just lost. I did nothing but lose, and it's fine.
I know there were a couple name players on there because they had the same names they had in other stuff. I think KPR
Mm-hmm.
might have been one of them, and Phil Locke was one. Unabomber was one of the skins, and some other name I recognize because they played well. So I'm like, it must be the same. No,
Mm-hmm.
no one would clone their own name just to play well on a different site. But anyway, I think I just like aggressively cashed out, and then that's when we started reconvene at Commerce, playing like 1 or 200.
I mean, we originally met at Oceans, I guess,
Yeah.
through Andy playing 40-80 mostly.
I was
but,
and Andy's has so much better work ethic than both of us. Like he would have a
No,
9 to 5
he's-
and go home.
I
And
mean, you're a
grind.
real person, but he's a grown ass man, and I'm a disaster. I mean, who am I kidding?
You're still young. Shout out to UC Santa Barbara. Yeah, he's got a family. Shout out to Andy. Just different runouts in life. I talked about this, Dan, Zach, and Bryce, and you, and just like there's so many paths to take. Like Gary Edelstein's obviously crushing on Live with the Bike, but man, like what he had to go through to be that good, that smart, like natural talent, Live with the Bike, like all these things had to all these circumstantial things had to happen. Same thing with me on Live with Bike. Like so many circumstantial things had to happen, and he's happy where he is. I'm glad where I am. Like back at Commerce, I used to play like 10, 20 no limit with him. He would buy in for like 20K or 30K, which now he buys in for like a bajillion.
Yeah.
And I would, because I was used to online, I would only buy in 100 bigs or 200 bigs. So even though I'm sure he was a superior player than me, it wouldn't.
It never mattered.
It never
really.
mattered.
Right,
Yeah. So I would just do my thing, with all the things. And at that time, I don't think the audience knows, but I would just play heads up with just about anybody at Commerce. Like heads up.
Did you and I ever play heads up? I don't think we did.
I don't think so. Yeah. But there got to a point where like, why would we play each other? Like even Big Bob K, like I played with him.
That's the BK.
No, that's Big Bob K and BK are friends. They're from Boston. And same with Diamond Joe. Sorry, Diamond Joe, for the bad beat the 2-outer, but
He's fine. He plays like 3-6 and 4-8 now. The funny thing is, oh my goodness, I remember he was on the worst downswing. Like I've had some rough ones.
Yeah.
He was on the worst one I had ever seen play. Like I felt bad. Like I'm there to make money. I felt bad to beat the man. Like
yeah,
just
I think I was part of that too.
I don't know what he lost, but it was like a significant sum playing 61-20, almost solely 61-20, and
he and I
he's
literally,
just such a nice guy. Like he's
Yeah.
a good player, and I fucking felt terrible for him.
He like turned the nut flush on me. I king high flush, and I straight flushed him on the
binked him?
river.
Yeah, no, this is
Straight flush. I mean, and like when the cards are flipped over, what can he say? Of course, I have a king high flush. Like I'm not going anywhere. I just happened to bink a straight flush on him.
He's received the worst single downswing I've ever seen in poker.
How much was it?
I truthfully don't know, but
We used to start and stop the 60 game.
I could tell you
daily.
it was well over 100,000 playing almost all. I mean,
insane.
well, I mean, I lost like 120 in like 6 weeks playing 1-2 once, but I mean, like the way he was losing was just unimaginable.
I'm sure.
Unimaginable, yeah.
So at Salt's injury, I gave him the worst beat of all time. Like
Yeah.
for some reason, I thought I could make him fold, in which we already both know we can't make each other
I mean,
fold.
it's a limit poker. There's no folding.
No, but like the cards that came out were just like
Right.
so like
You're like, this is my card.
Yeah.
And then like the river's like, I mean, this is obviously the card.
yeah. So what happened is he had Queen 9, he flopped top 2 pair. I had pocket 6s, so we were already going animal before.
Queen 10, 9, Jack 6.
No, it was Queen 9, like 7 or something, and then the straight cards came out, and the flush cards came out.
Okay, so you completely like misinterpreted like the
Yeah.
nature of his hand.
Yeah, I thought he had Ace Queen at best or King Queen
Right,
at best.
right.
Obviously, he's never folding top 2 pair.
I mean, he's never folding top pair.
Yeah,
but
he's never
of
folding top
course.
2 pair, but when he's like re-raising stuff, I'm just like, this is like doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like even though like
In
rationally,
this day and
it
age,
absolutely
you'll be
does
like,
make sense.
a person just keeps betting. They just obviously have a good hand. But back then, it was like, nobody ever has a hand that's
Right.
good.
So I was like, he's overplaying aces. Oh,
Yeah.
he just has ace king and he's just like going animal.
It goes back to like I remember many years ago. I think before I was like even friends with Barry Greenstein, but he'd be like in the very highest stakes games, like people will like they'll be sure to get the showdown and not put too many bets in.
Yeah.
Whereas like back when we played Limit Hold'em, like if you had the best hand, you got the last fucking bet in.
Right. Yeah.
Like there was you were not going to be caught with
The worst.
Yeah, no, like you got the last bet in if you had, whereas now like you just got to show down your hand like. There's no shame in just getting it there.
It's a different era.
Yeah, it's much different, and like it was just natural for you to do like what you had done. Whereas now, like if you did that now, people would like they would line up. Like there would be a waiting list for the 40-80 hold'em game if you did that. But like nobody does that. Like not even the worst player.
So I 2-outed him. The river was a 6.
Of course, yeah.
And then I check raise.
And
he put in the last bet, and when I flipped over my hand, he's just like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, of course.
And like I've played a lot of bad beats on people, but that one was just like memorable because one, he's just like he was in that downswing, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Plus he's like, Wayne, you know I'm never folding to you. What are you doing?
It's like,
I was
man.
so embarrassed because I
Yeah.
was like, I played the hand so bad.
Oof, I had almost an identical one against John. How do you say John's last name? Angry John. Monet or Manette? It's Manette.
Oh,
I
I don't know. I know.
Anyways, like
about,
he had just busted the 10K no limit deuce, and he comes to like a 15 or 2500 limit hold'em. It's like queen 10-5, and I like bet 3-bet with 2 sevens because that's just what you did back. Either way, you turn a 7, and he looks at your hand and he's like, "Why are you like this?" He's like what happened in your life that you have to do this to me?
I remember just feeling bad for Joe, and like he tells the bad beat story to this day, but it was just like such a misinterpretation. Excuse me.
Of course, I mean, just people gambled differently back then, and it's understandable. Like, now it sounds absurd, but back then it was like people just had a heart, and like you turned over so many strange hands, and like these small pairs were good in these huge pots, and it's very different than poker today. It's very different.
Kristen was there, and then Joe told the story to Kristen, and like fudged some details, Palomino, and then Palomino's like, "That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad." And then
It's not that bad.
and then the actual details went in, and she's like, "Wow, that was so bad."
Yeah.
And that was like one of the few times I wasn't a sociopath and actually felt bad.
Yeah.
Millie was there, Poker Snoopy.
I miss Millie. Does she play poker still?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But she just like moved on into a better life.
Probably. She's a pretty
The audience
smart
is
lady.
like,
No, she's a smart lady. Like,
Sure,
she should have just moved on. She probably didn't. She's probably at the Bellagio playing right now, 40-80.
oh my gosh. Like Millie, Poker Snoopy on Poker Stars, she did well, limit and no limit. And we would just run into each other. I don't even go to Vegas that often. But like when I'm there, she's there. And when I'm in,
She was bum hunting you, Wayne.
about right. She didn't get me though.
It's as much as she and I played together, I remember almost none of it. I just remember all the beautiful bottles of wine we shared together.
I definitely held over, and I played hands in a way where she was just like, "What the?" And she
Yeah.
was like, just like you hold over me, like a rational person would fold, and you just happen to do that permutation. And I'm like, "Okay, you must have it," and you're like, "Ha ha." I mean, and just like the environment is more trusting because like she would go to the bathroom and she's like, "Wayne, play my money and chips." I was like, "I don't want to do this."
That's normal. I mean, you're probably only playing 100, 200. Like, the worst you could do is lose 3,000 and like completely
in like an orbit when she goes to the bathroom.
completely uninteresting hands.
I mean, I was like, and I lost, and she was like, "Okay, whatever." I'm just
No,
like,
nobody cared back then.
I know, but I still feels bad.
I mean, back then I wouldn't. Like, you just kind of expected like the games to be the way they were, and we all were a little short-sighted, I would say.
Yeah, I would say very short-sighted.
Thank goodness for bitcoins, so it doesn't matter. But
Well, you got on that boat, and I went to the
I didn't mean to. I just won them playing $1, $2. But
Were you on like Seals with clubs
no, I actually staked someone that was on there.
and did well?
No, I was staking someone. He won on every fucking site except Seals.
That's
As Bitcoin
so
rose for me.
That's brutal.
He's like, we like lost like $2,000 playing 5-10. I'm like, you couldn't have won on the site where like
It actually
yeah,
mattered.
I was like, if you had just won 2,000 on the site, we would have made like 200,000. Like you couldn't have done that one time. But yeah,
I think the only bad thing about the pods when I have somebody I know is there's so much like inside stuff where it's like 2000. You're like, what seals with clubs? What's the cake network?
it's amazing. Like all these things that you like, you remember them, but like they never really come up.
Sure, yeah.
And
Well,
then-
because
and
it has
then
to be
now they
like
do. Yeah,
it has to be a similar journey,
Right.
and similar generation, and yeah. I mean, technically, Garrett Adelstein's the same generation as us. We just like branched into different things,
no, everyone did like everyone got to where they are a little differently.
right? And just like kind of settled on what they prefer, and go from there. Like I was reconvened with like Bryce Yockey for the last couple of years. Like, do you play tournaments?
I
No.
mean, I wish that I could say I didn't, but I played a number this year.
Okay, but I mean, just overall in your career.
I wish that I could say I
I
didn't.
called it a career, motherfucker.
But I've played so many 10Ks. I mean, I don't think cashed ever once on a 10K.
So you're like down huge. In
Oh, no,
tournaments.
I'm down a significant number, yeah.
What's
I mean,
your like lifetime?
I play only World Series. I've played a couple WPT mains, but I mean, I have like 10 to 12,000 in World Series caches. I mean,
And you have like you're buried huge.
I'm almost surely over 200,000 in, but
So you're down about 190,000 in
yeah,
tournaments,
I really
approximately. Yeah.
it might be a little less than but no, I'm down a significant amount. Yeah. I mean,
It's funny how we could be just like open about this.
Oh, no, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's real bad, Wayne. But
No.
yeah.
But this is the thing, because like, especially in the Instagram generation, when they do the chip horn or I'm so good at poker, it's like that's how you know they suck.
Yeah, no, I have still, even to this day, I still have a few of my chip stack pictures. I have some beautiful ones that
It's more like
that would put everyone but like Dan Bilzerian and like JRB
shame.
to shame. Yeah.
Well,
But
let's see him.
I mean, they're already on 2+2 if you go deep and old enough.
I don't go to 2+2.
I mean, neither do I. I actually went on there, I think yesterday for the
I
first
go
time.
on the live of the bike forum
Many
at
many
2+2.
months. Yeah, no, I was like, hey, I'll be at the bike if you're playing 4080, come say hi. Like, I'll buy you a drink. Let's have some fun. But
Wow.
other than that, like, as much as the forum gave me, which is a ton,
Yeah.
it's just like it's not the same as it used to be,
Right,
and
yeah.
it holds pretty much no value to me now. To be, it's like it's
Sure.
kind of sad to say, but it holds pretty much no
The
value
thing is,
to me
like,
now.
people learn from different ways. Like, they have training sites now
Right,
that are
no,
very
it's
solid.
I mean, back in our day, like
Yeah.
you could read the Schneids, the
Yeah.
BK, the Baron Zeus, the Stinky Pete's,
Yeah.
and you could learn everything about the game, like
Sure.
everything that there was to know. And like now, people are just like, it's almost like it's regressed in a way. Like I went into the Limit Hold'em forum, and like people are discussing what's like to me
Freudian slip. Whoa.
it was disgusting the way they did not understand how to, but like
Whatever.
I don't even play Limit Hold'em, but like they're discussing like a concept it's very obvious even back in like 2007 to 2009.
That was
like,
wrong.
It was just a pre-flop situation.
Oh, yeah. So if you Google my full tilt name, there's not much there, but there's like certain hands that showed up in some forums, and then I saw my name, and this guy's question was, I had a set of fours. What do I do here? I'm like,
I mean, in that scenario, it's just like people don't understand that, like these situations where you have like an exceptionally strong hand in limit poker, like they're actually worth almost no thought whatsoever.
yeah.
Like, maybe you miss a bet, but like just like keep putting bets in, and
Yeah.
like if they raise you one too many times, you're probably behind, and you just show it down, and it is what it is if you lose. But like a hand where you have an exceptionally strong hand in limit poker is like largely an uninteresting situation.
Yeah, that's why I
Right,
saw
like,
that forum
it just-
post. I'm like,
But it was just like it was a situation where I think there was just a button raise and a small blind 3-bet. And the person had ace 3 suited in the big blind,
okay.
which of course you like cap, and like you just
Depending on the era.
what's now.
Now, you might fold.
No, I mean you could consider calling. Anyways, like, and there's just like this.
Okay,
this,
sorry. In the high stakes,
no,
I'm
there-
playing small stakes.
There's
now.
like there's
Yeah.
this long discussion, and like there's no point in like having like, first of all, like I don't want to be the person, but like you can like just pay for the solution that
Sure.
tells you what to. But like
Right.
even so, like You've played poker, like you have a beautiful hand, and you're like against like two people that they might not even have looked at their cards yet.
Right.
Like you just play, or maybe you cap it, maybe you call. Like if you're in Vegas and there's 5 bets, maybe you just call. But either way, like you're playing
Yeah.
your nice hand, and like there's just like post after post of people like debating these things that there's nothing to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas before, people used to like talk about like what you should do on the turn in this situation, what you should do on the flop in this situation, and that's just which I understand. Like there's hardly any people playing the game at a high level anymore, and there's hardly anyone playing the game at all anymore, to be honest, which is
Sure.
very unfortunate, as I feel. But there's just
I mean, time has changed.
yeah, no, the level like I do enjoy like the low content discussions when I participate in them.
Like,
on
what
the
were we
forum,
doing
but-
outside? You were playing PLO, I was playing mixed game. Like,
Yeah.
we just 2 cards is really boring.
No,
you know?
it's just, I mean, what can happen? But yeah, it's just, it's not what it used to be, which is understandable.
Sure.
There's not hundreds of people like playing 30-60 like there were before. Now
Right.
there's nobody playing any. There was me maybe playing 40-80, and that didn't even happen.
Yeah, and like some determined guys out there, I'm not going to name drop them, but they're just really good now.
Well, I mean, there's a small handful of people that are still dedicated
Very, very
to
good,
the greatest game. And I mean, I have no shame in saying that I used to think I was like the best that ever there could be in live limit hold'em.
You held over me.
With no question, like many people have surpassed me. Like they're still very dedicated.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know that I've played a hand of limit hold'em in a year. I would love to play, but there's just no games, and
LA, just playing.
it's too far, and then
Understand.
you
We
wind
talked about this.
no, you wind up in a 55-10, 110 PLO game.
Yeah,
and
and it's more. Can't say no.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe and Group.
Yeah. Sometimes there's the greatest game, and today I chose to play the great game instead of the greatest game.
Got it. So yeah, different eras changed. Some people play in private games. Some people continue the battle of the high stakes. Some people are house players. And part of it, what I do is broadcast. Some are YouTubers, some are vloggers, some do training sites. So everybody just like, not everybody, but there are a lot of different directions that can be taken and were taken that weren't necessarily options back then.
No, they weren't. Like, to be honest, I remember when Andrew Nemi and others, to me, he's like the primary one, but they started with the vlogs, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, this is terrible for poker. I mean,
Why'd you think that?
they were showing people's cards, I guess. Anyways, I've
Okay.
taken a complete 180 on that.
Okay, yeah.
I would say that the vloggers and podcasters in this day and
I think
age are
great.
like, they're fantastic for poker, I would say. Fantastic.
And shout out to DJAF, right?
I mean, the DGAF, of course, since he's a close friend. I personally think, as far as podcasts go, he has the best one on the market, the most unique story, one to root for, but also he's fantastic to actually play with. But
So
yeah,
he told me, I definitely know who he is. Everybody says I know who he is.
yeah, it's kind of funny. You know who he is, of course.
I don't. I mean, if I see him, I probably know who he is.
I would love to bring him here, and like you'd be like, hey,
he wants to commentate one of these days.
We were actually, you and I think we're talking about me playing on maybe one day, and I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if DJF could commentate.
Sure.
Which actually it would be fun. Like,
We'll figure it out, but
in the
like-
future, if I get the opportunity to play, it would be really cool if he
Sure.
could commentate, just because like I know he's
knows,
gonna
right.
he's gonna roast
Review,
like
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we're in, as you can see, a transition phase due to some unfortunate circumstances in the poker community.
I mean, I can't tell.
I know
don't
you can't tell,
Maybe
but
this
this is
is
a
what the
big, really big
studio's
change. I
always
mean, there's a
like.
camera there. There's like microphones everywhere. Anyway,
You're safe in case there's a fire. You got some sprinklers. What else do you need?
yeah. So we'll get DJ from the Max. He's obviously super old school and been through a lot of the journey as well.
He's got a fantastic story, of course, as well.
He anyway. I read his tweets and I'm just like, I know this guy is like experienced old school.
No, like I said, we could bring him in here and be like, hey, it's good to see you. It's been so long. And be like, by the way, I'm DJF. You'll be like, of fucking course you are.
Yeah, probably.
It would be exactly like
The
that.
community is very small, even like with new school players or just like, even if you're from a different generation, there's always like mutually people you know, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just like this is the issue with a lot of people like Dan Bilzerian, who claims he wins like a ton of money in these private games, which may or may not be true.
I have
don't
no
know.
reason to disbelieve it.
Yeah, but like I personally know 2 people who have played with him. One's Ryan Fee, and the other guy's Mike Yoshino, and they say he plays like reasonable. He's not like elite, but he also doesn't claim he's elite. So I don't know.
never met the man in my life, but
Sure.
I have no reason to not believe what he's claimed.
Right. Right.
I mean,
You know, some people
he's in an exceptional situation, I would guess, very often, and good for
capitalizes.
him. Good for
Right.
him.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of people have different journeys, and then when
Of
you hear
course,
about
yeah.
the opportunities that were, taken, you're like, oh, I missed that boat or that boat.
You know, like I still have like a Matrix like philosophy at times that like you're kind of just gonna wind up where you're gonna wind up. Like
Sure. Well, whew, that's rough.
what's the Morpheus saying? Like it happened this way and it couldn't have happened any other way. Like that kind of thing. Like I
That's
mean, of course you could, but you didn't make different decisions, and you just like you wound up where you are. And if you're still around, you're probably not doing too bad.
I mean, that's definitely
And
true.
how many people are there that like they seem to make the right decisions and they're not around and their life isn't that great. So
Bang bang. I'm
I
just kidding.
mean, no, there's just
Bang bang
like
to luck and variance. I mean.
yeah, I mean, if there's just
I'm not sure. Like, I agree with. I think for the most part, you're probably right. But there's so many times there's like external extraneous circumstances that may cause you to deviate from optimal or
yeah, no,
preferred.
I agree, but I still don't know if like I mean, I for all intents and purposes like went broke, but I'm still here. Like it's still like it kind of ended up like the way I feel like it was supposed to end up, I would say.
I
So
think it'd be awesome.
obviously like I have a personal life sample
Sure,
size of
sure.
one, but
No, but the thing is, like, I talk with you, Bryce Yaki, Dan Zach, a bunch of people, and we just like, I'm more interested in the runouts. I may have a different like situation than you guys because I was trying to pursue other things, so poker wasn't like a purist thing for me. But it's just like if you asked me 5 years ago, would I be doing live the bike and all this stuff? Answer is 100% no.
yeah.
You know, in 2013, you asked us to be props or house players. 100% no.
I mean, 5 years ago, I was happy as a clam playing $1, $2 no limit mostly. Like I played 2, 4, and 3, 6, but like what that was 2014. Yeah, I was playing mostly $1. I was like, this is it. Like I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't need. And now I'm like, man, I wish I could play 100, 100, 200 with an Annie tomorrow. Like I honestly never thought that I would play live
Yeah,
poker again.
no.
I never thought I would play anything but no limit hold'em again. And here I was firing like a machine gun in PLO.
Yeah.
Like I like some of the games and mixed games I don't like, but either way, like if there's a game, I'm more than happy to play. But I legitimately thought that like I would play $1, $2 to $3, $6 no limit hold'em online on whatever sites there
Sure.
were at the time, and that was just it, and I was completely fine with that. And then that kind of got turned on its head, and I came back to live poker, and I was like, oh, I'll just play no limit hold'em, and the ships just came off
Yeah.
the bus, and the wheels, that's what they're called. Buses have wheels. The
Yes.
wheels came off the bus, and all of a sudden, like I just find myself in Vegas playing 75, 150, stud 8 or better, and Omaha 8 or better, and
Crazy.
just wound up right back where I started many, many years ago.
But it's also because we play a lot of different games,
Mm-hmm.
runouts can be more versatile too. Because if you're banging your head against no limit, which I joke with the no limit specialists now, and I'm like, they already find it really hard to find good games. They get locked out of games too. And it's just like, this is a reality that we faced
Yeah.
like a long time ago.
It's like I told you, like when I was running poorly in limit hold'em, like I would just go to the horse, which was and like I met so many people through that, and like at times I was like, if you had just stuck with limit hold'em, like you could have been the guy playing heads up 2,000, 4,000, or whatever it was on full tilt at the
You
time. But
could.
maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have been. But even so, like how is that going to serve me now? Who am I going to play with? Like nobody.
Right.
So I feel like it turned out for
And
the
just
best.
flying too close to the sun has ruined so many poker players.
I've been there as
Yeah,
well.
we've
and
all
that
been
was-
there.
Yeah.
I've been very careful most of my career not to fly too close to the sun, but as I told the audience, like I had family issues, which we've discussed too, and it's just like, yeah, when you have external factors that prevent you from doing optimal decisions, then it's just hard.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I lived for like the big games and the big swings. Now, truth be told, I don't really enjoy them.
Same. We've talked about this.
But
Yeah, we're old.
like I would be happy playing like a 5-5 or 5-10 like big bet dealer's choice just because like I know that it would be a ton of fun.
Right.
Like edge or not, like I know it would be a really fun situation. But that's not the situation I've been dealt. Like if
Sure.
if you tell me there's a 100, 200 no limit hold'em seat tomorrow, then 100, 200 no limit hold'em's going to be the game.
Go, yeah.
When I'm back in San Diego, if you tell me the game is $2, $3 big O,
Yeah.
then so be it. That's
Right.
the game. Like I don't play very much anymore. Like it's not going to be make or break if I don't play for a month at all.
Sure.
But like the game is going to be the game, and I'll
But that's because we also learned a lot of different types of games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you stick to no limit hold'em in this era, you're gonna get pigeonholed. It's already like,
yeah. There just aren't many games, and like
I needle the people outside who are no limit specialists, and I'm just like, yeah. And Jerry Fang starts playing PLO, which you just played with.
I honestly like as much as I've seen him around, I didn't even realize he's a no limit specialist. Like he seemed like he
He's
played
very
fine.
good.
Like
No, he's very good at no limit.
Yeah.
And especially in this era. Like,
I would assume he's a fair PLO player at this point, anyways.
yeah, I mean, he's definitely improved. I watched him play on Live at the Bike, and I'm by no means, advanced PLO player. I think I'm probably a pretty good winner in the small and mid stakes, but I don't know anything about high
Oh,
stakes.
I don't know the first thing. I've played it at exceptionally high stakes, like up to $1,600 blinds, but I don't really know anything about the game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's you just look at your opponent, make your best
it's
guess.
just, I play in games where people are like gambling recklessly, and I gamble slightly less recklessly, or I run good. Like I've like suffered some very large losses in PLO,
Sure,
and
me
like
too.
I'm sure many of them were my fault completely. I
Mine
don't
were definitely my
I don't
fault.
but I enjoy the game, and it gives you an opportunity to learn even if you don't
Right.
have the best of it, of course, and
Yeah.
you can learn things about Hold'em even from playing PLO.
I mentioned this on the stream too. Like in especially no limit hold'em, a common occurrence in PLO is if it's like ace XX, like say ace 9-4, and there's a flush draw, but the ace is not of the flush draw. In PLO, you get trained. They could have ace X of that suit,
Right.
and then you go back to no limit hold'em, and you're very wary if you have king queen of diamonds and it's ace 9-4 two diamonds, but the ace is not a diamond.
It happens much less frequently, but even so, it's like
Yeah,
it's something to very much keep in mind, of
Right,
course. Yeah.
yeah.
Especially like in Hold'em in a situation where you might be considering peeling with no pair, like king queen on ace 9-4.
Right.
Be like this could be like disastrous.
Right.
Whereas at least you have like a way to make the hand
Yeah.
if the ace is already out there.
Another one for limit hold'em that transfers over to no limit is cheap showdowns. Like people, and I haven't even said this on broadcast, so I'm calling myself out. But guess what? Nobody watches my show anyway. But
Not yet.
yeah, that's true. Not gonna win. I'm just kidding. I don't know, good or bad either way. But cheap showdown and no limit, which I've done it on the show, and the commentator must be like dense or something. It doesn't understand that when you raise, it's cheaper to show down your hand. On the river you go check versus call and then call again.
This being like raising the flop to check the turn?
No, the turn.
Or okay.
The turn. So say on the turn you bet into me, and I want to show down my hand, but I don't want to put in extra money. I would raise you on the turn like 125%, 150%. And that's cheaper than calling your turn bet.
And no limit hold.
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought we were talking about limit hold.
Yeah, the concept comes from limit hold'em.
Right. But no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's in live like smaller and medium stakes games that kind of thing definitely has.
It works. Yeah.
Right.
If you don't want to pay more to show down your
I
hand.
would generally avoid it, but it definitely has its place.
Oh
in
yeah,
some
it's just like
situations. Yeah.
in very rare circumstances, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is better than what's taught or what's traditional, and it comes from limit hold'em. So then it's
Whereas
like,
I would actually, I'm not a big fan of it in either game, but I would actually do it in no limit before I do it in limit, just because there's like in limit you can just call and like it's the same, but like in limit at least like you can get an additional bet if you happen to get there. But
right, which that's the main reason to do it in limit. But I mean, most audiences no limit, which is why I try to do the no limit terms.
Right. Of course, that's why I was a little. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how it's more about. But no, I see exactly what
So
you're saying.
so one of the exact hand scenario was I had top pair, weak kicker, and this was on the flop, and a backdoor diamond draw, and the person bet into me, and I raised because I wanted to space out the resource management so that if I backdoor in the diamonds, I could pillage, or if he has me out kicked, because I have king 9 and king's a top pair, then I can minimize the showdown cost. And then the commentator was just like, I have no idea why Wayne does this. I'm just like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like I understand. I would generally avoid it personally,
Yeah.
but it has its place, of course.
yeah, it's a
Like,
small fraction, but when
Right.
it comes up, then it's applicable. Another one was like I had a hand in PLO, which I didn't play as traditionally, but if you watch execution, it's better than what Bart Hansen said.
I was going to say, I would say that the concept's actually more applicable in PLO, where they're not really going to bluff on a lot of the scare cards, and a lot of like you can choose to do everything on the river in PLO. Like you can turn maybe your 2-pair into a bluff.
Yeah.
Like you can check back. Like you can just do you can just do everything.
Right.
I think PLO is a more favorable game for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the audience is no limit, so I'm transferring to no limit. But I'm saying the concept came from Limit Hold'em. I'm saying like playing all these other games helps your no limit game because the concepts are more pronounced in the other games, but fractionally it'll help.
I played only no limit Hold'em from 2013 to 16. I would say it helped all my other games immensely.
Absolutely.
Like, learning a more mathematical approach, or a more, I guess, solver oriented approach to all the games. Like it teaches you, especially the river, to play. Like I would say the river, then before the first betting round and then the second betting round. The other ones, whether it be 2 or 3 more betting rounds, are very, very complicated. Like you got to know your man. And
right.
Thank goodness it's limit poker, so usually you just call.
But that's the thing about solvers, that people
they teach you a lot, even if it's not about the game you're playing.
Right. And I recently talked to Dan Zach about an Omaha 8 or better hand, and I was like, it's 7-hand. I'm under the gun with this hand. Which I do. I think I should fold, and I did fold. And then Dan ran in the solver.
What was your hand? I assume it was like an ace-3 of some sort.
Whew. Close. It was ace-4, 7-8 with ace-4 clubs.
Yeah.
Under the gun, Omaha 8 or better.
7-handed.
7-handed.
Yeah, I would fold. It's not even close, and I wouldn't be one bit surprised if you're supposed to open the hand.
You're supposed to open the hand.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Right. So, what Dan said.
Almost everyone folds that hand.
Okay, but the thing is, like, in 2019, in earlier years, I would definitely just like fold and not even think about it. But then 2019, I'm looking and I'm like, wait, is this? It's going to be borderline either way.
Right. It's very obviously close, and since I don't, I would say easily one of my weakest games. I would just.
There's only a short list of people where if I saw them in playing 08, I would be like, defer to that person.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dan Zach's one of them. So Dan Zach did a hand. I think we discussed this. Like button raise, and you 3-bet a small one with Jack, 10-9 double suited. If it wasn't him or like Zach Freeman, I'd been like, yeah, this is bad play. And then he does, and I'm like, it's got to be the right play.
Tell me why, but tell me why, but I agree. And then, I believe you, but tell me why.
Yeah, exactly. And he said it was worth like 0.02.
Yeah.
Right now, I know. I'm just like, and he said if one of them was not suited, it would have been minus EV. So I'm like,
right, no, that part, of course, I would agree with, or understand.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is like I just haven't done enough research. But anyway, back to the ace-4, 7-8, ace-4 clubs. He said the solver says open, but he says most people would fold, and most people probably should fold because humans, especially for Omaha 8 or better, don't play as well as the solver would play.
Yeah.
So he was like,
the solver is just no. It's limit poker. Like the machine's just going to be sticky, and it's going to be like
that's exactly.
It's going to be indifferent with its like bottom gut shots and like bottom pairs and that kind of thing, which is very easily understandable.
What's weird is because like I may not be as high in the hierarchy as I used to, but like my grasp and mental like vision of poker is probably more vast. That's why when I saw the hand, I was just like, maybe
it's like I know what I'm doing, but that's something that like Gus Hansen, I would say, is exceptional at. It's one of his strongest suits is finding the diamonds in the rough, and like no, like really, like,
I believe you.
He's just like he's very reckless, but at the same time, like he's finding these situations where he's like, there's like I don't know how to do it, but like there's like profitable situations to be made from people folding too much in limit poker, which sounds insane because it's limit poker, but even so, like you can really be pushing like even beyond that, because since like you said your first instinct is to fold. Yeah. I know what I would do. I would fold.
Yeah, but I would like in the past I would just never have a second thought.
Right, but now you're like
now that I'm more thinking about more things.
To me, it's like very obviously close, but I'm just like
I knew it was close either way. Which is why I asked.
Yeah, I just like I'm not good at this game. I'll just fold.
Right. Well, I mean that's pretty much. I think I have enough experience in Omaha 8 or better where if it was probably plus EV, I could like muscle through
Yeah.
post flop. But
But the funny thing is, like, if you're playing like out there while you're working, like
Yeah.
25-50 or whatever in a raked game,
yeah,
you have a very easy fold. I can
Right.
already tell. Like your hand
yeah,
is
no,
just a fold.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
So
I mean, everybody knows I'm a different
which
player.
it's
I
but,
am
but it's like
than I
people
used to
don't
be.
even consider that kind of thing, and like it doesn't like matter that much.
Yeah.
But like there's very specific situations where it does,
Yeah.
and these sort of cusp hands, which is like in a game like Omaha especially, is a lot of hands.
Right.
It actually matters quite a bit.
Sure. And yeah, there's some stuff that I'm very lucky to have Dan Zach as a friend. I could just like ask him, or even like you.
I wish I could
Bryce.
ask him. Well, you should ask him before you should ask me. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, he's studies and he's way more active than us, so
Yeah, I
I
mean,
definitely default. But like, he and I have disagreements too. There's like, this thing is, even though he's a much better player than me, we're human. We're not perfect. We also have preferences too. So in certain games, in certain situations, I'm just like, I kind of like my way
I
better.
was gonna say, ultimately, at the end of the day, like all of us play predominantly live poker. Like you're playing against an actual person. You're not playing
Right.
against a computer. And like you need to like you
Consider
don't need,
that.
you don't need to look at him, but like you need
Yeah.
to like if you've played with the person before, like that has
There's
a lot
data.
of value, of course.
Right.
Yeah. But either way, I could tell you what he could tell you has a lot more value than what I would tell you because as much as I worked hard on my game back in 2013-ish, I do little to nothing now. Like in my head, I do, but other
At least
than that,
we have like these conversations. Like I fire this question. I obviously asked him and defer to him, but I fire the question to you, and we just like go down the similar rabbit hole and just like say, okay, what are the positives? What are the negatives? Ace 4, 7, 8 is different from Ace 4, 6, 7 because you could get the wheel plus the higher straight, but the 7, 8 doesn't. There's like all these intricate like things in Omaha 8 are better that on the outside don't look like
the way your
much.
side cards have value is interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with PLO too. Like, obviously, if you have Ace, Ace, 7, 8 double suited, like people are like, oh, rundown's good against, or like reasonable against aces. But if the
If
aces
the
side cards
are straightening in a
Yeah.
meaningful way, yeah.
and if they overlap, then it screws with the expected value.
Right.
And it's just like, it's especially with a tool like Live of the Bike, you see these things happening, and you see so many like, oh, 10-9 suited when you're playing solitary. Oh, 10-9 suited, and you're like King Jack, the same suit, Ace Queen, the same suit. Yeah, 10-9 suited not looking so
I was
good
gonna
right
say
now.
in PL, like one of the big differences, like someone can look at like Ace 3 Queen 10 and Ace 6 Queen 10, and they feel like they're looking at the same hand, but like the ability to make the wheel is like
Huge,
not
yeah.
insignificant, of
Yeah.
course.
Or
Whereas
the
like,
other thing is the dangler, because like, you know who Jay Nandes is, right?
of course.
So he ripped on me for playing Ace Queen Jack 3 with Ace X suited in the cutoff, which I was polite. Ace Queen Jack 3 Ace 3 of spades. Ace X of spades. I'm pretty sure it was Ace 3 of
Right.
spades in the cutoff.
that's a fairly strong holding.
Which, yeah, so when he ripped on me, I literally LOL'd. But I was polite. I was like, why do you think this? And Joe Ingram in the comments was like,
I feel like there
why
must
would
be a
you fold this hand?
I feel like there must be a like you're having like a fairly strong holding.
Right. That's what I think so, especially the mid and low stakes in PLO.
No, I mean you just have like a good
He's
hand.
trying to sell a training site, so he has to like talk down on everybody. That's basically.
I actually I purchased his Run It Once
Yeah.
his
Run It
course when he was
Oh, yeah, that's right. Back in the day.
Was it no, not Run It Once, I'm sorry, Upswing, right?
Yeah, it's
That
Upswing,
Pulse,
yeah.
I own the course. I would say it taught me something, but truth be told, like the games I play, like
It doesn't apply.
his course isn't like teaching you how to play like 8-way limp pots.
Right. Yeah.
But
The thing
it's certainly something to think about. But I don't know if I
think-
can learn anything from it personally,
Right. I
or
think-
apply anything that I learned from it.
I'm literally in the same boat. I feel like structurally the way he teaches is informative. You can't copy that and turn into.
It's just if you're like in Europe playing online PLO, I'm sure there's
probably is great.
exceptional value.
Right.
For me, it gave me a lot to think about. But personally, just
He came on
I
Live the
don't
Bike.
know, yeah.
I knew he was not going to play like that because it's not practical. And
Of course it's
obviously he
not.
didn't.
Yeah.
And then like one of his fans outside like had like double suited aces and just went, and he had like a rundown with a gap on the top, but he knew he was against aces, so it's like totally fine, you know. He
Yeah.
had like Jack 9, 8, 7 double suited and like crushed the guy's aces, and the guy was just like shattered. He's like, it's Jay Nandez. How can you play Jack 987 double suited? And
Yeah.
I'm like, in my head, I'm like, LOL. He ripped on me for how it is. Nothing's personal.
PLO, I would
Nobody
say
cares.
that game has maybe one of the biggest differences between like theory and reality
Yeah, I agree.
of any other game, because not only like do people play very different, but like it's a big bet poker game, so
Right.
like the way you can be involved in hands is like much more meaningful.
My thing too is
Where like in a limit poker, like you're still going to need to produce a good hand in a limit
Right,
poker
right.
game, whereas in big bet, like you can get a little frisky with like the
If
rest
you
of
know
your
the
table.
other guy,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's why I like PLO, even though I'm not very good at it. Like you can play 30-40% of your hands in a full ring game, and like you're still the tightest player in the game.
that's what when I
Yeah.
started my PLO career and just torched a ton of money. Like
That's still how I play, Wayne. They complain that I play too tight. I mean, I play about half of them, but
and just play tight post flop.
I really don't know. I just like I hope that my cards match.
There's some like jokes that I say in PLO that just fly over people's head when they don't study it. So I would say like when you start playing like King Queen 6-6 double suited, you're on tilt, and like the audience probably isn't versed enough to know why that's not a good thing. Whereas like visually, you're like, I can make a set, I can make a straight, I can make a flush.
Right, yeah.
So, and then you have a pair in your hand, which is a penalty.
I mean, King Queen 6-6. I would consider that a fairly exceptional hand, to be honest. But
When you're playing for your life, it's probably not a good
Right,
hand.
right.
But if you're playing recreationally, you could like splash in.
well, like I said, I'm like the
Yeah.
least professional of all time.
So the thing about we're probably mentioning about danglers and the ability to make a wheel is if you never have cards in that zone, people can just like know your
Right.
entire hand selection in PLO. Whereas if you have that dangler, you can wind up with
Yeah.
the wheel, or you can have trip threes. Whereas it's like, if you're always playing high cards and the only time you're playing low cards if they're attached to aces and kings, then your hand range is kind of predictable. And when you're predictable, that's not a good way to play poker.
If you're in PLO in a game where like a person can just like confidently like pot two streets against you and just know you're gonna fold, that's pretty bad, because you should be able to cover the board pretty well, like
Right.
very often.
I agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the other joke was that, like Ryan Fee's favorite hand is King Queen Jack 8 double suited. And when he told that hand to Jay Nandez like, that's not even a good hand. But when he said that hand,
I had that exact hand today on 10-9x. Anyway,
So you know exactly what we're talking about.
I folded the turn because there was a flush draw, and I was thinking, my goodness, maybe I could bluff with
But-
a 8 high flush blocker. But
The when Ryan Fee said that, I literally burst out laughing, and then I told the joke when Poker Sasha's Jerry was there. They're like, I don't get it. That's not funny. But you got it right away. If the board's 10-9 rag.
I literally played the hand today. I mean,
Yeah, I know,
mine wasn't
but-
double suited, of course. But
I know, but the thing is, it's like once you hear it, you know why
Right,
it's his
right.
favorite hand. And the other thing is because there's no ace in there. So if you get 3-bet by aces,
Right,
you don't have an ace in your hands. So I thought it was really funny, but
No,
I guess they didn't think it was funny.
You know what deuce to 7 triple draw players say their favorite hand is, right?
Quad deuces?
No, come on, it's
I don't
7-6-3 deuce, Wayne. You know why?
7-6-3 deuce. Why?
So when you squeeze the 2 across, you always have it. That's every deuce to 7 player's favorite
I
hand.
guess I'm not a true deuce. to
No,
seven
you just
player.
squeeze the 2 across.
I
and
understand.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking
just
about.
that's everyone's favorite deuce to 7 hand.
For the audience that doesn't play Baccarat,
I mean, you don't need to play baccarat. You just
Okay.
Yes.
for the audience that doesn't understand that joke, it's that the 4
It's
and
not
the
a
5s,
joke, Wayne. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
the 4 and the 5 have 2 dots on the side. The 5 has a dot in the middle, but ace, deuce, and 3 have nothing on the sides.
No sides.
4 and 5 have 2, and then 6, 7, 8 have 3.
What about the 9 and the 10?
They have 4. But for the purposes of the joke that you think is funny, but
It's
the
not a
audience,
joke, Wayne.
Barry
It's a-
Greenstein outside today had like a bunch of like good jokes because it was like, the guy was like, "Oh, what do you have?" He's like 6 low. He's like, "What 6?" And then
This isn't deuce to 7. I'm
no, is it ace to 5?
Okay.
He's like 6 low. He's like, "What 6?" He's like,
Sixes.
"Oh, you probably have me. I have 6, 5, 4." And then the other guy just mucks his hand, and then He's like, what? I thought you had a 6. And then Barry Greenstein is like, yeah, he has 6, but he has 6-7. That wasn't funny? I thought it was funny. Anyway, another joke that I had with Barry Greenstein is he has a book called Ace on the River. I'm like, today he'd call it Deuce on the Third Draw.
Yeah.
Of course, the audience is not going to get this. One of these days, young Padawans, you will get this when this podcast gets...
Don't do it. Just stick to No Limit and PLO like a normal person.
Well, people play mixed game now.
They shouldn't.
Because you want to stay dominant in that game?
No, because if they start a hand like today in Badesi, it'll be years until the hand finishes. I mean, like a live hand of Badesi is like doing a poker hand by mail. It just takes so long.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little jaded.
I'm jaded because like I quadruple check my hand because I've misread my hand so many times.
Yeah, you're part of the problem, Win. No, they're fun. They're good. You can always learn something about another game from any other game.
All right. So let's just get into what you think the hardest part of high stakes poker is, because you've played larger than me.
I mean, good lord, this is a complicated question in this day and age. I mean, getting in the game, to be honest. Things are, even public poker games are a lot more private than they used to be. But
I could comment on this, but just like it would get me in so much trouble.
No, you shouldn't, and I don't even know if I should say it. But like getting like,
let's leave it.
They don't need the details, but like getting in public poker games is not an easy feat these days.
Yeah, and back in like 2013, we wouldn't get the text. Like at least back then at Commerce, if I'm in there overnight, I could put my name on the board, and they legally can't lock me out.
I mean, I would say I still get like significant favoritism over other people, but even so,
because
like,
you're entertaining.
I mean, because I'm me. Like,
you're like,
I'm not. I literally am not a professional poker player, even if I might be a favorite in the game. But
okay.
Also, I'm me. I'm social. Like, I have fun. I very obviously like am not good at a lot of things about a lot of the games.
Really? No, I don't know.
I mean,
I haven't played with you in ages.
It's not my fault if they're worse, but I'm not good at like a lot of things, and
right.
I gamble, and like, to be honest, like the drinking is a double-edged sword. Like I like to say, sometimes I keep having fun until no one else is having fun. So like really that's actually come back to bite me a few times.
That's funny.
No, it really has, like in like embarrassing situations where I don't even remember that I've played with people. But no, just like I'm like fun, and I'm very obviously like not trying to take advantage of anyone, but just getting in the game in high stakes poker can be difficult. Other than that, like there's some fantastic players.
Well, let's like not bang ourselves about that subject.
Yeah.
Go for the more traditional routes. Is skill in poker the most important thing? That's the biggest fallacy.
That's a very complicated question, but
right.
No. Like even at smaller stakes, like if your skill is like the only thing you have going for you, like there's inevitably going to be like a very important part of live poker, which is the social aspect.
Yeah.
And like this is a very big DGAF thing, but like you need to like be a person that people want to gamble with.
Sure.
Even at like a 1-3 or a 2-5 game, like you're going to keep the game going longer, you're going to make the game better, and it's really that simple.
You know what Lyman does on top of that is he's social with the people, but he also like berates non-social pros at the table. He's like, get the F out of my game, even though he's technically making more or whatever because he's a host and has more tables. But he will just like berate people on iPads or headphones and be like, you son, until they like leave.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't have that approach, but like,
I know he's one of a kind for sure.
Even as like whether I'm the pro or like the rec in a specific game, like you just see that and you're like, why are you here? Like, if you're not gonna like engage like in this
contribute
social, right? You're in like an 8 or 9 handed game maximum, and like everyone else is like part of this like social situation. And like you're taking something from the table and not giving anything in return. Like, if you're just gonna try to make money from like just like go play online, or like I don't know, like just go somewhere else. Like I don't really see what difference it makes. I guess like maybe they can't do it online where they can live, but like everyone else is like trying to do something, and I kind of feel like you should get with the program, I guess, which is
I don't podcast.
Right. Like I don't know if you should, but like personally, I think you should like. you should participate in the social aspect of
Sure.
live poker. Like to me, it means a lot. If I didn't enjoy the social aspect of live poker, like I would play online. It's that simple. Like I
Right.
play live poker because I enjoy the social aspect. End of story.
I play live because they don't have props online.
You know, they used to.
I know, but I can't turn back, and like some of the other props too is like we just can't turn back anymore. And like even if our win rate is lower, like a lot of us do multiple things. Like Mike Lamosse teaches LSAT. Like I'm trying to get Steve to do a YouTube channel. I do Live at the Bike. I have my other projects, which you know about, and just like I don't
Which
have
is-
the energy.
Yeah, I mean that's great that you guys all have those things on the side as well.
Yeah, and it's just like to have a situation where I can just half-ass playing mid-stakes poker
Yeah.
is just like, woo! Shout out to first world countries, like, dudes. And like literally, people like the 4080 props, like they just call me out. They're like, he just doesn't care.
It's kind of sad.
It's like I mean, I do care, but I just don't care as much as I used to. I want to win. I'm not trying to lose, but at the same time, we talked about some stuff I used to do when my career was coming up. Now I'm back into doing those things, just getting any percentage I can, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, people love playing with you still. Like you're Wayne.
I think so. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think you even played a hand when we were playing together, and I still enjoyed myself more because you
Because
were
I
at
was
the
like
table.
yapping and talking.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't need to like give excessive action. Like you just
Sure.
like I said, it's not about the way you're playing the hands or the hands you play. In most cases, like it's about the social aspect,
Right.
which like you've been around so long, like you actually enjoy it anyways. Like
I do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say whether you like acknowledge that you enjoy it, I don't
Yeah.
know.
No,
but
I do.
Yeah, but you like enjoy the social aspect, like.
And I like making fun of situations, telling jokes. DJF like gave me props for telling jokes as well. But like Zio, who's known for playing super high stakes, no limit hold'em, like he played mixed game, and
I saw him, and
we were just
You,
like
you
I was
immediately got him
needling
addicted to the mixed games.
So he was in the big blind. It was fold to him, or the fold to small blind called, and then Zio checked and he lost the hand, got called for the no limit board, and he's like, roll me.
Yeah, good. Even if he's not going to play
And
it
I
every
literally
day,
made
at
fun of
least,
him
yeah.
to you, to Jerry. I'm
That's
like, we
great.
got him, we got
Yeah.
him. He's going to throw away 2 cards and go for more cards. And he did. He played for a few orbits, and then he's like, F this, I got to play hold.
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
But that's how it all starts. But you know, you got to get people in the door. And then he was just like showing me his hands. I'm like, you know, I have to help him, because if you don't help them,
No, I mean, I have no issue. Like,
Yeah.
if someone shows me, I'll tell you what I would do.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
care.
but it's like an extra layer of just like I can't BS them, whereas other people might like hold back information. You know? I know.
I would tell them,
you,
like,
yeah.
I would rather not be, like, telling them exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But if they ask that, I will as well.
Yeah.
But for them, I'm more than happy to say what I would do in any game.
Shout out to you. No, people have been in the mixed game have been really helpful. Like I had a deuce to 7 drama hand, and I had a straight, the nut straight, but the board was paired.
Uh-huh.
So I launched it on the river and got a 3-bet, and I was like, oops.
But it was paired, like, in such a way that you could get scooped, right?
Yes.
Did you see the hand I played against Miami John, where, like, I accidentally angle shot him, but not really?
Okay.
It was like king, queen, 6 of hearts, 3 of hearts, queen. So
Okay.
there was a flush out there and a pair of queens on the board. Anyways, I like, my hand was not a very like strong hand, but like in this situation I couldn't be scooped. I had Jack 10 9 with hearts.
Oh, I saw this one.
Right,
Yeah,
so I had the
remember.
Jack high flush.
Yeah.
And like my first
Jack
instinct
low.
was to bet. Then I was like, oh shit, what if he scoops me with like 6x? Oh, then I was like, wait, the queen paired, not the 6 or the 3. Like you
Yeah.
can't scoop me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do whatever you want. Like I don't care if you want me to bet or check. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like the game is actually like a big, even for someone that for me that's like
Pretty experienced.
Yeah, like I actually haven't played the game in 6 to 8 months, but even so, like I've played the game quite a bit. I was playing it the day that it started being played in LA,
Yeah.
but like I got confused and I didn't even recognize the situation where I literally cannot lose the hand.
Right.
And
No,
it's
I've been in that
it's
spot
it's
too,
it's
yeah.
it's like that's one of the stranger games, and it's not new at this point, but among the games that are commonly played, it's newer.
So what's funny is like Lee, who, you know, in mixed, I've been
Of course,
playing
yeah, I know Lee
high
reasonably well.
stakes seven
Yeah.
card stud like long.
I would
He
consider him one of the better, that game specifically, stud high.
oops oh no he's getting called out. He
Well,
wants to be known as
well,
like not as good as he.
there's good news, Lee. No one's ever gonna fucking play stud again. So you can kiss those days goodbye.
So he was like joking, not joking, that even though I don't know Archie very well, and it's one of your
It's
favorite
my
games,
favorite limit poker game. Yeah.
I did a move today, and then he copied it, and he's like, "I'm learning from
He learned
Wayne."
something. Oh Jesus! You're trying to make poor Lee go broke. Was it? Did you at least do something good?
It was good,
Okay.
but I don't know why he didn't think of it. But he like
You had a
joked.
high, did you have a high hand?
I was going for low, and
You
then
pretended like you had a high hand.
no, I did have a high. I was going for low. I ended up on the last draw with ace, ace, 2, 3, 4, but I knew Lee was
Low.
going for low.
And someone else was
It
possibly
was just
high.
no, it was just me and him heads
Oh,
up,
okay.
but I had position, so I just kept the aces instead of going for low.
Okay.
And then he
Oh, you
did
drew,
that on
you drew
somebody
one?
else.
You
Huh?
drew one at the ace ace deuce
I
three
drew-
or something.
No, I kept the two aces, and I drew 3 because I knew he had low
happens.
cards.
Oh, I was gonna. That happens. That's pretty common. I
Oh,
would
it
say
is.
higher
Okay,
stakes,
maybe he
yeah.
was just like trolling me or something.
Okay, he might have been like. I would be shocked if he hadn't seen the conversion in that game.
No, it's not the conversion. It was that I was clearly. Well, he was trying to figure out my hand, and it obviously made sense. But
Right.
it was
I mean,
like
it's obvious what's happened. Like you have
Yeah.
a low draw and you converted to two aces in
Yeah.
that game.
yeah. So anyway, he read me, and then a hand like.
Yeah,
I don't know, an hour later.
it sounds like he was trolling you a little bit, to be honest.
I'm deleting this. I'm just kidding. I'll make
That's
fun
fine.
of myself. No, because he converted in a different hand. He made a six, like he had sixes, which for the audience doesn't know. For the high, you need to have sixes or better, and for the low, you need to have 8 or lower. There's so much stuff. I'm just totally losing the audience.
It's a phenomenal game, but nobody
It's
will
cool.
ever play it. Yeah,
I got trolled by Lee. I'm gonna cry.
I think he was messing with you a little bit. It sounds like
I had ace 2, 3, 4 though.
that's fine,
I'm
but
just kidding.
even so, like people convert to aces.
Okay. Lee, you got me.
I think he got you.
So the emotional control for high stakes poker, that's one of the more difficult aspects.
I would say I'm fortunate, I guess, that mine I would say is exceptional.
I'm pretty good for a human, but like I had limitations as well.
Yeah, back in the limit hold'em days, like it sounds like conceited to say, but honestly, like I felt like I played whole sessions without making anything that even resembled a mistake. Like now when I play, like I'm not even trying to play my A game. I'm just like trying to have fun and still be in the game. But I make mistakes. Like I made a blunder yesterday playing 10-20 no limit against a friend. And it was it might have cost me like maybe 30 to 50 big blinds, my blunder.
That's a lot.
But it might have provided him a situation to bluff me on the river on the exact run out
Okay,
that
so
he received.
yeah.
Right, but it's just I don't feel like I play as crisply. I would say I'm
Same way, yeah.
generally at like a B plus A minus game, which I never would have even considered saying of myself years ago.
Yeah.
But I also have I have nothing below the B minus or the B plus or A minus game really.
It's interesting that you say this because like I actually try harder on camera than I do outside.
I
just
try
am so lazy.
less hard, I would say, just because I'm trying to have more fun. But no, I would,
get-
I
okay.
would I would still like give myself a B plus A minus. Like I'm trying to win. Like
I'll rephrase that. When I played Doug Polk heads up, I was trying. I
Yeah.
was definitely trying.
I enjoyed that you and Zach playing
Which one?
Doug.
Oh, Zach. Did you
Yeah.
watch the both?
I
Yeah.
watched both of them. Yeah, I remember yours. I don't remember well, even though I watched it. I remember Zach's only because I was at a Chili's drinking, watching Zach and Doug playing heads up, just like sweating every hand, like it was life or
Wow.
death. The drunker and drunker I got with my fajitas and Ritas.
Well, Zach Freeman, obviously way more goat than me, but I mean, I talked with Ryan Fee about my deficit against Doug Polk, and the audience may not know, like, there was a period of time where I'm just like, I'll just play 99% of the field heads up, like, in just about any
was
game.
this part of the period? Or
No, this was
I
not.
gonna
This
say,
was way
like,
after. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there can be any doubt that Doug was the superior hold'em
Oh,
player
yeah.
against both you and
yeah, and Zach Freeman.
Zach. But I mean,
Yeah.
it was fun to watch either way, and I think that was generally the point of it.
Sure. Yeah, it was definitely exhibition. Like Zach and I definitely, I don't know about Zach, but like I definitely knew I wasn't a favorite. But like the way that Doug is just like, the best heads up player, like I think the audience and the or just the poker community that doesn't know heads up that well thought the gap might be like bigger than it was. It was large at least against Doug against me, but it wouldn't be apparent for
Did you and Doug play only Hold'em or PLO
Hold'em.
as well?
Just no limit hold'em.
Mm-hmm.
But more of the point is just like I'm decently experienced in heads up, even though
Right.
I'm not like super
I,
study.
I would say like I'm a pretty fair heads up. No, I mean Doug would beat me like mercilessly.
Sure,
I would
and I would say
die.
the same thing
Yeah,
for me. But like when the viewers watch it, they're like, "Oh, Wayne held his own." I'm like, it's like,
there's a lot of intricacies, of course. That
yeah. I obviously saved some tricks for him, and they worked. But he
Yeah.
also didn't know who I was, and if he did, I'm not getting away with them. So whatever. Anyway, it was a cool experience. Like I even playing him, I learned a lot.
I mean, I loved watching it. I don't think you and I had talked in years. I wasn't even playing live poker at the time, and I took time out to watch both you and Zach. Like, it was probably 6 to 9 months later that I was actually happened to be playing with Zach, like, almost daily, but I had never met him in my life. But I really enjoyed both the heads-up matches. It was great.
So you found him really interesting. Was it because you knew us too, or?
Like I said, I didn't know Zach at all.
Oh, you didn't know.
I had
Zach.
met
Yeah,
Doug
yeah,
Polk
yeah.
once in my life through DGAF when we were both blacked the fuck out. But you were the only one I really knew, so it was interesting to watch. Like I know who you are, I know
Yeah.
Doug's reputation. I kind of knew Zach's, but it was interesting to watch. Like three people that have like three pretty unique but like good approaches to being a poker player, playing one or in I guess Zach's case 2 forms of poker.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's like, it's cool that it's like you were curious about it because I don't know what
Yeah,
the audience
yeah,
is.
no,
And I
it's
was definitely curious to see, like, he's at his prime the best.
hmm
What is he doing that I don't
I think
know?
was that like 2016, 2015?
I
Probably
don't know.
2016
I mean, he was heavily marketing
or
that.
early 27. That was his like Doug Polk week or something like that.
Yeah, the very first Doug Polk week at
hmm
Live with the Bike. Like, so, I, I, if he was in his prime the best as a player, which I don't know heads or tails whether it's true or not, he must have been better than me, and I just wanted to
Yeah.
see
Oh,
what is he doing
he
that's
was
like
certainly
so.
exceptional, but who knows if he was the best or
Yeah,
not.
who knows? But like, I wanted to see what he was doing that I was
hmm
missing, and already after an hour playing, I'm like, geez, like there's so many things like he knew that I didn't.
Right.
And it's not obvious when you watch our hands, but what's going on in my mind and what's going on is just like,
I actually like I at that time I was much less experienced at heads up no limit hold'em than I am now,
yeah,
and like it was really obvious that he was like thinking about things that you guys weren't.
he
But
was thinking of things that I wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
he was just like it's not even a step. It was like he was like
light years.
it was not even like ahead. He was just like reading a different book than you guys were. Like
Okay.
it's just, but it was fascinating to watch.
So, okay, yeah, that's definitely fair.
Which
I mean, that's their third person's point of view.
No, it's to be expected, of
Yeah.
course.
No,
From
no, it's
like,
expected, but
a
like
specialist in his
my
game.
view is like first person point of view,
Mhm.
and yours is like third person point of view. So it's interesting, like your opinion on it.
It
So
was very
from
fascinating.
the third
to
person
watch.
point of view, you could just see he's like light years beyond whatever we were
Yeah,
thinking or
I,
trying to
I would
do.
actually, whether it be Doug or someone else, I would actually love to watch like a series of that, like against some of Live at the Bike's more well-known players.
There was talk about it, but it seems like there's not much viewership for Heads Up because like the audience doesn't necessarily understand it. They just want to see big hands collide.
Right. I mean, the funny, like, I can't remember the last time there was actually a heads up match. I remember before I ever met either of them, Maria and Crazy Mike played heads up like 100, 200 limit hold'em in 2006 maybe.
Wow.
Like little did I know, a year or two later they would both become like pretty close personal friends. But like that
Okay.
was really exciting for me to watch back then. But
Like,
poker audience in general, I defer to you and believe that there's not very much interest in it.
oh yeah, there's definitely not much
Yeah.
interest, but it's just like in that opportunity, like you said, Doug, Zach Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like, sure, we're gonna default to Doug as best, but Zach
Mm-hmm.
Freeman and I aren't nobodies.
Right,
it's-
that's why
yeah.
I'm saying it was interesting to me, like seeing three different like accomplished players with different approaches, like battling it out.
And like I don't know whether I don't remember because it was so long ago, but my accuracy against Doug was high. Like I laid down correctly, like a very high percentage of time, and called him a very high percentage of time correctly, which, has a lot of variance and luck, and I'm not sure how much of it was like, oh, I was right versus, oh man, dart in a dartboard.
And like maybe he was adjusting a little bit, and like you
Yeah.
know what, like Wayne's a live poker player, he's folding too much, and then you're like, you know what, he knows that I'm a live poker player.
Yeah,
And I'm folding.
there definitely was some of
It's
that.
a really interesting dynamic, I think, actually.
Yeah, and the hand that I punted, like what people told me is my move was outdated. So I don't know if you remember the hand. Like,
No, I don't
okay,
remember a
well,
single hand.
I remember the hand. So it was like I raised with ace, and he 3-bet with ace queen, and then I called, and it was queen 6-2, 2 suit, and I have the 8 of that suit. So anyway, he basically raised, and in my head I'm like, if this is online, like I'm putting chips in because he could have a draw, he could have a pair of sixes, he could have somebody bluffing with a gut shot or something like that. So I put it in, and then literally unanimously, my network was just like, that was not a good play.
Right. I mean, the very basic part of that situation is that you're having like a pair in your hand, so you're having like one of your poorest equity hands,
Right.
Because that's just
Because it's 2-outer,
right,
and
yeah,
backdoor
it's
flush draw. So.
having a 6 is better in that it's blocking a set of 6s, which he doesn't actually have, but even so, it does block it, and it's giving you 5 outs instead of 2.
Yeah, so, and with discussion, my move was outdated. I don't know what I should have done / what the right answer is, because I'm just not in the mix.
Right. I mean, if it was heads up, it sounds like probably you call the 3-bet.
Yeah, he pretty much put me all
3-bet
in, or something like that. So we saw a flop. It was like raised 3-bet, and I think I called his 3-bet, and it was queen 6-2. No, I must have been the last aggressor pre-flop, because I c-bet and he raised.
Oh, okay, I see.
It has to be that
I see.
permutation.
Okay, that's a little different then. But even so, like again, it's the exact same situation. Like a 6 is having better equity and blocking a set of 6s.
5 outs versus 2
Right,
outs
of
and
course,
backdoor
yeah.
flush draw,
Yeah.
So
The blocking matters more in that scenario.
okay,
I would say.
yeah. So I mean, a lot of the no limit hold'em heads up experience I had was
Right.
ages ago.
Of course, or like in that scenario, like automatically, like 7s through jacks is going to be like you're not going to continue like ever against the raise, really.
Okay.
Or you're not going to.
Now I know.
You're certainly not going to get all in against the raise at the very least. Like
I was like, I didn't know his game that well, so I was like, if he could have like a spade
no,
draw.
it's very understandable, but like now you know, but like that's just like you're having like one of your poorest equity hands.
Yeah, and
when you're behind at least.
That's fair. Yeah. That was like literally one of like 2 criticized hands of mine, and unanimously the network was my player network was like, yeah, that was outdated, what I did, and the other mistake I did was like so minuscule, and then everything else, it's like technically I got the upper hand on him with some tricks on my sleeve, 2 some limit hold. I value bet him ace jack high.
Yeah,
and
I
call
mean,
it king jack.
Really, like people really underestimate the value of like live poker experience. I would say.
Yeah. It just, I mean, like we said, he's just like way above me, but it was interesting to have me and Zach Freeman battle him and then see what happens. Yeah.
I would love to see that or something similar again.
I'm okay battling a lot of people. I don't want to call out people who have refused me. It's not necessarily because they're afraid of me or, I'm worse. It's not worth their time.
I mean, I could tell you in this day and age, I don't think heads up poker is really, as much as I kind of enjoyed that match, I don't think it's the greatest thing. People are like, Sean, I'm like, no, we don't, like, I used to be like, sure, let's play. Like, any game you can name, any amount you can count, like, if I can afford it, I'll play. It'll be fun to me, but like,
it's a different era.
It's actually kind of like personal. Like, when you're playing heads up, like, someone's going to lose.
Right.
And whereas like, you're just playing a ring game, you can socialize and have fun, but like, heads up's not the greatest for like, the longevity of a poker game, I would say.
So this is what happened after being a prop and house player is like I don't play anyone heads up anymore. It doesn't matter if I'm a favorite.
Yeah, no, I haven't played heads up in so long. Yeah.
No, but the thing is, it's like when my shift is up, it's time to go home. Like I'm not staying around. And if they say, "Oh, that's bad etiquette," what am I supposed to do, right? Like I'd rather just like not take the EV and just like work on other stuff and just finish my shift and just go home.
Yeah.
Rather than, esports bad manner.
I still have people like not infrequently be like not strong players be like, let's play heads. But like, no, it's fine. We'll just play tomorrow, like in a full game. It's not a big deal. Like,
Yeah. We're different people now.
maybe, yeah, no, I'd be like, absolutely. Let's fucking go till someone dies. I don't care.
That's what I was doing in
Yeah,
the Converse in
no.
like 2013.
And like I loved it back then, and like they loved it too. But like now, like they think they love it, they really don't. To be honest, like
Yeah.
they don't want the
They don't
torture.
know,
Like
yeah.
I could tell you, they're gonna be happier when they come in tomorrow, like rested.
Dude, we're
and-
like so mature now.
yeah,
It's
no, it's
crazy.
just, and also like as much as I would like the money, like I don't want like the confrontation. I don't want the unfriendly atmosphere.
Absolutely.
I don't even enjoy the stress of heads up the way I used to. Really, like I used to enjoy the battle. I don't as much anymore, but
I'm okay,
it's-
like, if it's, like, there's a purpose, like, playing for camera. But,
Right.
I haven't played on camera for, like, or just not frequently for, like, a long time. And mostly I play it limited in PLO because I want to showcase that stuff, whereas No Limit, I could just, like, play, like, 20 times in a month and just, like, catch up with content. But it's just, like, it's so awkward because I'm scheduling the games now. I watch these players, and even though I have, like, 100 episodes on Live the Bike and all my like major hands on Live the Bike, they're not spending their time watching me, but I'm required to spend my time watching them.
Right.
I almost feel like guilty.
no, I mean it definitely provides you a significant amount of insight.
Yeah, and they're just like, watching Garrett, Andy, and just like, and they're just overly respectful of me and like overvaluing probably my intelligence, but they're just like,
No, they're definitely not.
but they're just like they know what I see and like what I might have planned, and they don't want to deal with that even if they are favorites against me. So it's some stuff that maybe the audience who hasn't studied as much as we have in the past, or how much Garrett and Andy, Dan Zag, Arpahazian have studied, it's like we know the general realm of how much those guys have studied, and it's just like we already know they've spent so much more time. You could see in their execution, their decision making, and we're just like, or at least for me, I'm just like, I can't be that, like, ever.
For me, honest to goodness, it's really not even about like the idea of playing a pro. It's like actually recreational players for me generally that I'm saying just no, like we'll play tomorrow.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, when I watch Garrett make these insane decisions, I feel like he's just gonna get better in time because he loves getting in these tough decisions. Whereas in
Right,
big bet games, I don't like getting in tough decisions. I don't know about you.
I mean, I certainly don't like shirk away from the
Oh
idea
yeah, I
of,
don't
like,
shirk away
yeah.
from them, but I'm just like, I would just prefer to be like, just
Right,
having-
you want to play a nine-handed game with people that are going to play a little frisky, and like your decisions are going to be relatively easy.
yeah, I want easy decisions because I'm playing for
I
money.
mean, I used that was just the thing I used to love was battling in the six max limit hold'em online where like it was all pros, but like one of the pros was going to have to win, and it felt like I was the one winning.
Sure.
Yeah, it's certainly different.
Yeah, just like the stuff that Garrett's pulling off, I'm like, never in a million years am I going to be able to do that.
I'm like generally not doing the. It's not that I'm trying to avoid. It's honestly just that I'm very lazy when I play poker now, and
Oh no, I'm the same way.
Yeah, it's-
and I get called
Yeah.
out by like a lot of people out there, and just like they're just like, Wayne, you have this opportunity to play night shift, shorthanded, maximize. I'm like,
I play so rarely now that like I kind of just like want the game to be full and fun and social, and I don't care if the game is like the 8 worst but rudest players of all time. I'm gonna be like, absolutely not, no thank you.
why do you find the etiquette like when it gets shorthanded, like 4 or 5 or 6-handed? Then it's like things definitely get a little rougher. And,
Like in terms of like just the nature of the poker game, like the
Yeah.
aggression. I mean that's
or just
fine.
like the
I don't-
social aspects.
Yeah,
because somebody's gonna get buried hard in those games.
Like I said, I don't play much no limit hold'em. Even in PLO when there's usually a bloodbath,
Yeah.
just it's PLO and like you have the hands that you gamble with even for huge amounts of blinds.
Yeah, PLO it's like more accepted.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
man, like especially like even high stakes, no limit hold'em, the communities, or even mid stakes, like there's a lot of bad blood. There's so much bad blood.
In my opinion, it's not a good social game.
Right. And that's what like, actually what I tell people too. I'm just like, it's not the game of no limit that I'm shying away from. It's the social bad blood aspect.
Right. I mean, Live at the Bike has done a better job than anyone in the industry as far as like cultivating a good game, whether it be
Yeah.
more blinds, more antes, that kind of thing. But ultimately, like you have 2 cards. Like the game is like the big pots are going to ultimately be two hands colliding in some like meaningful way,
Sure.
and like you need to take that seriously.
Right.
Whereas other games, like there's just so many ways that hands can interact in a way that like you're gonna have to put in a lot of action that like it's not as serious of a thing as it is in No Limit Hold'em when you only have the two cards and like
Yeah.
there's no amount of blinds and antes that can change that like when you can go all in with two cards and one other person has only two cards like
Yeah.
you're gonna need some time and like it's gonna hurt if you make the wrong decision.
Right.
And
And
that's
also,
that's
or
just,
the cards just run out
you
wrong.
know, right? It's
Yeah.
just like that's both the great thing about No Limit Hold'em and it's also the bad,
bad
thing,
thing,
about
right.
Limit Hold'em. And every game has their like own few unique things
Sure.
about it, and that's the thing about No Limit Hold'em. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic game. It's very easy to understand.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
it's,
really
it's
like
a great game.
the game itself. I strongly dislike.
And that's
the social
that's one of the
aspects.
bad things that you're gonna get with No Limit Hold'em. Like
Yeah.
unless you have 10 billionaires playing $1, $2, and they're not even looking at their cards, like it's gonna be a serious game.
And then people don't realize this too. It's just like, especially with, say, vloggers or training site people or just like personalities in poker, when I play them on camera, it's all fun and games until somebody gets stacked like over and over and
Right,
gets
right.
bad beat. I'm just like,
I was
am I
playing the
supposed to do?
PLO game and like I was the only one stacking off over and everyone's having a great time and all of a sudden I quadrupled
Yeah.
up and I was like, oh my god!
Everybody's just like,
everyone got a little more serious and like I wasn't even winning.
can't
I
do
was
it.
even, but
I
like,
know.
but like the vibe like
yeah,
regained itself quickly. Which in a hold'em like obviously you're never quadrupling up in a hold'em game like that's
Sure.
not a thing. But
Yeah.
even so like the vibe like recouped itself very quickly. Whereas in a hold'em game like
oh man,
if like the pro that was stuck like all of a sudden like keeps rebuying until he like stacks like a recreational player and like now this guy that like everyone was having fun with is just like devastated.
yeah,
Like
I know,
that's
the
like
mood
that's
is
like
really
it
bad.
could be like hours until the game recovers.
Yeah,
Whereas like PLO just like yeah whatever.
I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Just give me
This
like
is
another buy-in. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
people don't really think about it. It's like a very real thing.
Yeah, that's again like, and because I'm a prop slash house player now, nobody feels sorry for me because I get a salary. So like I have to be the one like getting buttoned or just like throw a lucky check. You know me, I used to never freaking soft play anybody or give a dollar or just like unless it's a very special case.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, oh whatever. I'm just like
I've done so many stupid things I can't even remember them all.
I'm just like, what have I become?
You're
I used to be an animal.
You're
Now
just,
I'm
you're
in
just
the
like
zoo.
you're like a ruthless pro. Now you're just like some weird. I remember it's actually another good Maria story. We were both in Atlantic City. She convinced me to go out there for some insane. I was like, why would a human being ever subject themselves to Atlantic City? By the way, the place is fantastic. The Borgata is great. It's a ton of fun. But we had like played together for years, and like we're playing 75, 150 or 150, 300 hold'em, and like it comes to the blinds, and she like raises, and like I'm like we can chop if you want. Like I don't like I had like ace jack suited in the big. I'd already I'm like it's cool if we chop. Like you got me to come out here on vacation. I'm having. She's
Yeah.
like Sean, like what happened to you?
Oh,
No.
shots fired.
Yeah. The funny thing is I actually only chop with like Asian girls, but even so, like
Mute. I'm just
no,
kidding.
no,
I'm
no,
just
you can
joking.
leave that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like it's like a slower progression to like less ruthless and less serious and more like I think that's good for everyone really.
It is.
If it costs you like $1 here and there, it's really not a big deal. Like
It's probably
it's
like
just-
increasing to more than
Yeah.
$1 here and there.
there
but
was
yeah.
there was a private game I played with. It was a PLO game with a mixed game player that I used to play with in public games, and we always played. And be like, Sean, why? Like now, I answer completely serious. Why I play? We pay fucking time. Like let's just play the hand. And like
Right.
it really isn't about the edge. It's about we're paying the. And finally, we're in a private game with no rake.
Yeah.
And he just looks at me and takes his blind back, and I'm like, okay.
What are you doing?
No, he
okay.
just he's like, we're chopping. I'm like, okay, we're chopping. That's fine. Of course. I mean, he's like, you said before it's because we're paying time, but now we're not
Right.
paying time. So,
Right. Yeah.
of course, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm on his left, and like, it's, like, no, the guy on my left plays, and he wants to chop. It's fine. Like, really, like before, I would be like, no, like,
You know,
I'm not gonna take the worst of it when the guy on my left is playing, and you're wanting to chop when you're like one of the weak. But I'm
No, I know.
I'm like, we're obviously chopping. Like, but what kind of shot do you want?
It's so sick because it's like our brains are so in tune to like this is worth this is
Yeah.
worth that, and then when it happens, you're like, "Ugh, I can't help myself.
That used to be my immediate reaction, be like, oof, you're costing me a few dollars here, bro. And now I'm like, whatever you want, it's fine.
Now life goes on.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
mean-
No, I'm like literally the
what are you
same
gonna
way.
do? Yeah,
It's just like it's so dumb where it's just like But it works both ways too, because this is something that happens at common outside. It's like somebody limps in limit hold'em, and then the small blind asks, "Do you want to chop?" And like back in the day, no, but
Yeah.
now it's just like I'm getting a
Whatever.
freaking
Let's
salary.
just go. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you want, man.
But it's like there's some like free roll. I'm fucking calling myself out again. There's this free roll opportunity where it's like somebody limps. I'm obviously not going to say from the small blind, "Hey, you want to chop?"
Right.
So I'll fold it, and then the big blind is just like, "Hey, you want to chop?" I'm like,
I mean, I've seen that hundreds of times. That's fine. Chop me up. I don't care.
I know, but well, no.
Yeah.
I get the money back.
Oh, they give it to you.
Yeah,
Well, that's fine.
yeah, I know, but I'm
They
just
let
like,
you free roll them.
I'd feel guilty inside.
There's nothing to feel bad about.
And we had an etiquette question that, like, me and Mike Lamosse know, and we asked you, which was, you probably don't remember, huh? I asked you on Facebook.
Etiquette question.
So basically, what happened is, I got called. I showed my hand. I had two pair. When she mucked her cards, a card flipped up, and
It beat you?
yeah, because of
Well,
four
she
liner.
wins, of course.
No, but she didn't like actively.
I mean,
It was going in the
That's
muck.
close enough.
You told me on Facebook that I should just scoop the pot. And that's like,
Really?
yeah, that's what you said.
I would have to read it again, but I mean,
I mean, I described it exactly
really?
how it happened when I messaged you, and you said, "Just take the pot."
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised, actually. No, I am surprised.
Maybe you changed as a person. I don't know.
No, I mean, I
This
haven't.
is like an awesome podcast.
No,
by the way.
I would have to read the situation, but I mean, if their like winning hand got exposed on the way into the muck,
Yeah.
I would say they should probably win.
Okay. Oops.
No, I mean, I'm fine with like apparently contradicting my. I'm surprised that I said that.
We
guess.
could go back in the message because I know I scooped the pot. I asked Mike Lamosse whether, like, and he deferred to you
Yeah.
to answer the question because I really didn't know the answer.
I'm kind of surprised I said that.
Yeah.
Because I default to like giving the pot to the, or at least at the very least probably chopping the pot, I guess.
Yeah. I had no idea what to do.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously it's so rare that it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. Like you could give the person like half the pot, you could give them their last bet back. Like it's still fair. Like they know they made the mistake. Like
Right. But then the other
it's an
thing
awkward
too,
situation.
one difference in PLO and Hold'em. In Hold'em, if you misread your hand, it's kind of your fault, or whoever the player misreads' fault, and then nobody says anything. In this case, the people actually said, "Oh, you had a straight, blah, blah, blah." I don't know if that's the right idea, but PLO, especially in the mid stakes and low stakes, you flip over your hand. Whoever sees the correct thing,
Right.
says
I've
it.
actually gotten in trouble for that, and I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" The cards were face up. Like
Right.
we need to get like the ball rolling here. Like
Right,
this.
right.
I actually got in trouble. A player had tabled half his hand recently.
Yeah.
And I could see the winning half of his hand was still in his hand.
Yeah.
And like the person who had tabled half of his hand is a very, very weak player.
Mm-hmm.
His opponent is a guy I'm actually friends with outside the casino, but I'm like the guy shows his hand we're talking like 99% of the time he's gonna show the rest of his hand.
yeah,
And like it's just like we need to get the, and he was like really, I'm really sorry if you're upset, but like we needed to get this hand to like be over. Like I
Right.
can't sit here and watch like a 10 big blind pot like when I can see the winning hand. I'm fucking
Right,
looking
right.
at it. There's nothing in the pot. Like let's go. It was to me it was a small game. To other people it was like a normal respectable size. But like and I was like, if you want me to give you the pot or half the pot, that's fine. He's like, no, don't worry. Then afterwards I was like, if you're still upset, I'll give you half. He's like, honestly, it would make me feel better if you gave me half. I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll give you the money. Like keep him like literally like 1 to 5% of the time he wasn't going to turn over his hand. But like we needed to get the show
Right,
on the
right,
road.
right.
Like we can't have a funeral for the hand for 15 minutes when I'm looking at the winning hand. And like again, like he's such a weak player that like he needs to be protected a little bit from him. Like he's not going to leave with any chips. Let him win the one where he has the best hand maybe. But either way, my friend was upset, and I was like, if this is going to make you feel better, like I made it right, like that's fine.
Yeah.
So I gave him half of a pot where like probably his equity was 1% of the pot.
okay.
But like I felt bad, and like everyone has their
Santa
different
Sean.
right. Everyone has their different idea of like what's right and
Right,
wrong, and
right.
I'm
That's why I asked. I was just
yeah.
so-
I mean, I'm actually surprised at my answer, and I feel like I either misread something or
you were drunk.
entirely possible. But
You were on a date.
yeah. I mean I don't feel strongly that like the person deserves. I wouldn't be like, oh, you're a terrible person that you took the like,
Yeah.
They mucked their hand and like their card randomly was exposed.
Yeah,
like
that was
it's
literally
not a
what
big
happened.
deal, but I'm still. I would probably offer them some sort of something if the literal winning hand was exposed as it like sailed into the muck. Yeah, which it sounds like is exactly what happened. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm
what
surprised at my
happened.
answer. But yeah, I mean,
There's another one that's like kind of sworn to secrecy where it's like I show down a hand where, or I flipped over my cards and there's just no way my opponent doesn't have me beat.
right.
He stares at my cards for like ages and just like mucks his hand.
Is
But
this in limit poker?
yeah,
I can tell you, I'm thinking of a Kim one right now. I've seen people do some extraordinary things. Michael has a fantastic one where the board is like 4-3 something something.
yeah.
4-3 something something of clubs. One guy has 7-6 of clubs. The other guy has 5 deuce of clubs. This is 61-20. The 5 deuce of clubs, unimproved, 5 high, calls down the entire way. 7-6 of clubs shows they're 7 high. 5 deuce of clubs triumphantly slaps his. He's like, I knew you were bluffing.
And then 7-6 mucks or no?
No, 7-6 is already face up on the table.
Okay.
It wins.
Okay.
But the 5 deuce is so proud that he caught the 7-6 but he loses the pot, but he's so proud. Like, people just do some unbelievable, like, he just literally, maybe he just wanted to see your cards. It's people do strange things in live poker. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. That one, if you can't see it, there's nothing to feel bad about.
Oh no, I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
I feel blessed. I'm just like
I would guess that he was just embarrassed and trying like to figure a way to weasel his way out of like.
no, what happened was he tanked for a long time, called, stared at my hand for a while, and then just put his hand in the muck. Like,
Yeah, no, you had the best hand.
okay.
I would be shocked if he just wanted to see your cards, and he was just embarrassed that your nothing would beat his nothing.
Mathematically, I had like the
Yeah.
fifth low nut.
Yeah, no, he is just like it's literally
Okay.
exactly like the 5 deuce 6-7.
Great. I
situation
value
that-
bet 8 high and limit hold, and then
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like it was exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
most likely I would say.
Okay. Alright.
But even so, like, what are you gonna be like?
I'm definitely not going
Are-
to say,
are you-
"Hey, flip over."
No, I was gonna
bet me."
say like, are you gonna need him? Be like, you
No.
couldn't beat 8 high.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
what can
no,
you
no,
do?
no.
Like the guy's mucked his hand, and that's the end of it.
I'm going to enjoy my Pringles and Ruffles.
Right. Just there's nothing you can do in that situation.
All right. One more thing knocked off. So we're gonna go through your hands on Live with the Bike.
Do we have some now?
No,
Oh,
I'm
in
going
a
to
future episode?
No, I'm going. We're going to tape it, and then I'm going to just.
We're going to tape it.
No. I'm going. I haven't even clipped them yet, but I'm gonna clip them, put them together, and then we're gonna come back and.
I'm in.
Yeah.
There was
I'll
actually
do that in like a day.
there was actually some fun ones in the previous episode that I played, so
I already
looking
have
forward to
the
that.
episode downloaded. I just haven't.
Yeah. To be completely, I tried to watch it again just to like. I wanted to see a few hands of myself against some players and the way they react in some situations. I got to tell you, it's a lot more fun to play it the first time
Oh,
than it
yeah,
is to.
yeah.
It was incredibly boring. Like,
Oh, I don't watch this.
I made it like 2 of the 6 hours in, and it took me like 15 hours to make it 2 hours in. I just had
You
to.
just fast forward.
I did, but I still had to rewind over and over because I just stopped paying
No,
attention.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a different experience to watch people
Mm-hmm.
you know play, rewatch
I
yourself.
mean, it's fun. When I watch a friend playing on the stream, like I'm glued to the TV. I just can't wait for the next time they might be involved in a hand.
I told this to Dan Zach. It's so much more exciting me watching him play
Mm-hmm.
than anything else. Like Garrett is the most entertaining to the audience, but I almost like kind of know what to expect from him. So it's like I'm interested, but not as interested as I am with Dan's hands.
Yeah.
I'm just like, for my own or whatever, or maybe even like yours or Bryce. Like, Bryce has this hand where he bluffs out Cookie with the jacks against the queens. To me, that's just like, I know Bryce, like, I know what he's thinking, I know what he's
For
doing.
me, I've played so much poker that like nothing really surprises me.
Yeah.
So like the pots need to be like large enough that like even just like a mundane cooler for a monstrous pot is like kind of fascinating to
I don't
me.
even care about like the size of the pot. I care like about the strategy. So like,
Both matter to me, but like
Yeah.
I'll watch any of like the clickbait YouTube videos.
sure,
I love
I'll
them,
watch
yeah.
those, but like I said, I'm fascinated by Dan Zach's decision making. And this is not just because we're friends, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's great that I get insight that I could actually ask him after the fact too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a insane privilege. But like, yeah, I'm just like fascinated by his decision making the most, where it's like, I do want to know what Zach Freeman does. I do want to know what Doug Polk does, but like honestly, that's not as interesting. I guess I don't know how to explain it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly about the large pots and like it also depends on like am I going to play with this person potentially
Oh,
like
absolutely.
and what can
Yeah.
I learn from this kind of situation and like since I'm not the guy that's buying in for a billion blinds.
Right.
So like a normal like 100 to 200 blind stack off is like it's interesting for me to watch like the way they're trying to build the pots and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna get into your hands and let your opponents in on your.
That's
I'm
fine.
saying.
I mean, they're not going to learn anything.
Why? Because you suck so hard now. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Okay.
hopefully I get as much out of it as they do at the very least.
Sure. I mean, everybody I've done it with has been very happy that they've seen their own hands and like discuss it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, tune in, guys.